this is something that everyone needs to guard themselves against. If you're going to text, send your text messages, you're going to have a conversation through text, just be aware of what's going on around you, or the people that are around you. If someone's watching you, if they're following you, and if you do feel that way, go somewhere where you believe there's a larger group of people, or there's a store, or some kind of establishment where you could maybe call the police, or just get someone to help you. But it has been the smartphones, and with that, we do ask people to just use sometimes common sense and understanding of what's going on, and be aware of the people that are around you.
Now, I know that we have cameras strategically placed throughout the city of Orange. Have those cameras been beneficial to you and the police department?
Yes, we have made arrests using just the cameras. We had one potential shooting that was stopped because of the cameras. We saw an actor actually get out of his vehicle with the handgun. He pointed at a vehicle, but for some reason he didn't pull the trigger, but before he could get it half a block away, we responded to that area and made the arrest of the individual with the handgun.
That's good news. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Council members, any questions for Director Sims? Councilwoman Eason? You forgot? You call me Councilwoman Eason? That's okay.
Director, one of the questions I have is now about the cell phones. The stores that's buying them, I think from my understanding and the word on the street, they're both located in Orange. Now the question that I get is, why can't we close those stores or shut them down somehow?
Well, that wouldn't, closing the store is really not for us. But what we do, we look at our pawn ordinances, and we really don't have any. So that's what we find. We will find the people, or will charge the owners of the store with pawning merchandise, because we don't have a pawn ordinance where they can.
Or is it pawning merchandise or accepting stolen goods?
Either. They don't have it. I think there's actually one store that may have the receipts and whatever else is necessary to accept goods. But that in of itself can be addressed, and has been in the past, because it was happening last year, where it was cell phones were being stolen at the schools, and the kids were going to Main Street and trying to sell them, and some were selling them. And we put a stop to that act. I think it was 2 stores on Main Street.
So is there legislation that we need to pass so that you guys can enforce that with the stores?
Well, for your code enforcement, and it would help us if we have more legislation on that.
Attorney Harris?
Ma'am.
Could you stay in for this conversation?
Yes.
Because if there's legislation that we need to prepare
Yes,
to
ma'am.
give the police enforcement powers over the stores that's buying those stolen cell phones,
Yes.
you think you could research that and see?
Absolutely.
I don't know, maybe somebody already has, or maybe Orange might have something that we could.
Well, other than, receiving stolen property, just a pawnbroker licensing in the city would help if stores are buying merchandise. If it's stolen, then we simply go in and charge them with receiving stolen property.
But I guess we gotta decrease the demand and close those.
Well, it's the opportunity.
Those stores that are
Yeah.
buying those, because every time something is stolen at our school in East Orange, the first place they come is Orange to the store up on Main Street. So we just need to figure out how we can stop that from them.
Still?
Yeah, keeping them from buying the merchandise.
And I'll need to get that store name from you.
Yeah. Okay.
Council members, any other questions? Director Sims, the monthly meeting that you have with the citizens, if people wanted to be notified because the day shift, what should they do? How should they, should they contact Lieutenant Soto? Do y'all send out emails once the
The
meeting?
PCC
date is-
meeting?
Yes, once the meeting is confirmed.
Frequently, we'll send it to the to the mayor's office to see if he's going to be in, and we're going to now put him on the website since that's up and running.
Okay.
And that'd be the best way for the citizens to find out if we're going to have the meeting and where it will be.
Because it's not like the third Thursdays, it kind of
Frequently, it changes, yes.
frequently changes. One of the questions that I get is in terms of gang activity. And if somebody wanted perhaps be a gang member and wanted to get out, do you have a resource for them? You know, is there any person that they should contact?
Deputy Director Warren has taken that initiative and has resources and groups that do address just that. He's the person that I go to if we have kids that come in, and we've had some parents bring kids in. If you'd like, I'll get a list of places and what our process is from him, and we'll bring that to you. Or at least sit down with you to explain it.
Or I guess I would like to see on the website, you know, highlights of, you know, frequent asked questions and, you know, where people can go to and, you know, just, and even if they can have a citizen's question, like they can email you and it's hooked up so the email can come right to you if they have specific questions. Just an easy way to contact you or your, whomever you would have them contact for, you know, various issues.
There are times even when if a juvenile is arrested or a parent brings them in, they'll go through the Juvenile Aid Bureau. And in the Juvenile Aid Bureau, those detectives also have resources that they point the parents in the direction of so they can seek help. But in light of what you're saying, you want us to have something within the police department, I would imagine, or a connection, a direct connection. Is that what you want?
I think it's on the website, like questions for your police director, but it's actually just going to your email, a portal, so they can just, you know.
Right, but when it comes to the gang, getting a child out of the gangs, when they come in, you want them to be able to contact me or whomever to get these answers? Is that what you're saying?
Right. But
All right,
I
I'll have to
want a
talk to
simple
the-
way for them to reach you, you know, the most simplistic, and then if it needs to get detailed, they'll do that once.
Okay, we can look
And,
into that.
do we still have police officers in the school system?
We have an officer that is assigned to the schools, just as the school resource officer. They're not there as much
Okay.
as they were in the past because they have other duties that really pull them from the school, but they do have an officer that they can call for whatever reason to discuss or for advice. And he's in the Juvenile Aid Bureau.
And finally, the status of the federal manpower grant?
We applied for that last summer, and then when the sequestration at the federal level began, most of those grants were put on hold, so we haven't heard anything as of yet.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Not, thank you, Director Sims.
Thank you.
Councilman Corbett, did you want to introduce Director
Director Dow, yes.
Introduce him?
I sure will. I was waiting for him to come to the podium. Thank you, Director Dow of the Orange Fire Department. Now, Councilman Marable is the liaison to the fire department. I don't know if he has asked of you to do the same that we're asking of the Orange Police Department, which of course is to come before the council once a month and advise the people of ways in which we can stay safe, or what we're doing, what the fire department is doing proactively to try to keep our residents safe from fire and other hazards. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you to think about that and whether you will consent to doing so. But in the meantime, we're going to ask of you to just provide us with a report tonight.
Sure. Michael R. Dowd, Fire Director, City of Orange Township. First of all, I think we have Councilwoman Gaunt is also part of the fire committee also, so we have been in contact with her. At the last council meeting that you had, the council president asked for, I believe, an annual report. So what we developed here is a end year 2013 report. So I'm going to give it to the council person. And the clerk.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
First of all, I'd just like to thank the council for this opportunity to come before you. My staff and I greatly appreciate to deliver to you the information on the status of the fire department for the past year. Basically, under the present administration, five firefighters have successfully completed the fire academy and welcome to a new addition to our personnel. We are extremely proud to also welcome our first female firefighter to our department in 2013. The additional staff assisted the department in achieving many of our goals throughout the year. The Orange Fire Department responded to over 3,000 calls in 2013. The Bureau of Fire Prevention conducted 1,500 inspections of residential and commercial properties. What I intend to do is just to touch on the highlights, the main accomplishments that we did in 2013. And basically, we had three major accomplishments for last year. The first was the ISO. This is the Insurance Service Organization. This is an agency that is equivalent to the UL that works for the insurance companies of the country. Their job is to go around to every municipality or county and to do an evaluation of the fire protection. From there, a report is generated, and this report goes to the insurance companies. The insurance companies take this report and determine the risk. And this entails what your fire insurance cost is going to be. About a year and a half ago, I think I brought a brochure to the council. I'll leave this one for the council president before I go, gives you the information of the ISO. Every city fire department is required to have this inspection done at minimum 10 years, maximum 15. We were at the 15-year mark. So in September of 2012, I was called up and notified that they were coming in October of 2012. Of course, we had the storm, and the inspector called us back and said, well, we're not coming now, we'll be coming in January. So they came, they did their inspection. Due to the fact that the fire department had been cut previous years, our rating had been reduced. Now, when this occurs, when you are reduced to complete rating of one class of a classification, that usually means that your insurance rates are going to go up. But when this occurs, what happens is they do the inspection, they send you a letter and say, you have 10 days to respond. Do you want to try to improve this or do something to alleviate this rating? Of course, we sent back a letter, yes, we do. They then give you about 30 to 60 days to develop a plan. You submit the plan, and then you get another 4 months to actually implement the plan, and then they came back. I'm happy to report to the council that the ISO, basically the ISO Public Protection Classification Program is an important role that underwrites processes at insurance companies, thereby impacting all residents and residential and commercial properties. A review is conducted every 10 to 15 years. This directly impacts every ratepayer throughout the city of Orange. The New York City Fire Department is a Class 1 agency. In 2013, the department worked diligently to maintain a Class 2, which is not bad. So it's a 10-part classification, with 1 being the highest. So the Orange Fire Department was a Class 2. When they came into the inspection, they lowered us to a 3. I immediately took action and appointed 2 personnel to work on this problem. And 2 of them are here today, Deputy Chief Frank Sacco and Captain Pasercio of the training department. They were the ones that actually did the work, worked with the ISO. And like I said, I'm happy to report back that we got our Class 2 returned to us. So I do not anticipate any raises of the insurance rate due to fire protection, which is a major accomplishment to maintain. If you look at this book, Class 2 fire departments, there's probably 300 in the country, okay? And so this is a major accomplishment for the fire department. And like I said, it directly relates to the insurance rates for every homeowner, and especially commercial building owners. On that note, I just want to personally thank this council, and specifically Councilwoman Easton. At the time that I received this letter, I wrote a letter to her and spoke to her saying that 2013, the fire department budget had to get money. We needed money. She heard my request. So, Councilwoman, I want to publicly thank you for your assistance and all the members of the City Council who assisted me in being successful in this project. Our next accomplishment was EMS. At the end of 2012, we were approached by the president of the former ambulance company, who informed us that they could no longer provide a zero-cost ambulance, and that it would cost us $225,000 a year. This was in about middle of December. The contract ended January 1st. We had no choice but to maintain ambulance service. So it was basically $500 a day for the month of January, then $625 after that. In the meantime, the administration informed me they did not want to have a cost on the ambulance service and to continue to negotiate or to find an ambulance company that would provide a service at the same zero cost. As you can tell, the economy is not doing well, and it was very difficult to get that parameters. Matter of fact, most of the vendors that came in were like, that was the lowest cost, some were up to $400,000. But I had approached the City of East Orange's ambulance service, which is Lifestar, and told them that our contract had not been signed and we were still open to anything. Fortunately, their company made a corporate decision that they wanted to provide ambulance service and get into the emergency service, expand. They came to us and said that they would provide a zero-cost ambulance service. So over the life of the contract, it's going to save the town $500,000. Not only that, our previous contract called for 2 ambulances during the day, roughly, and 1 at night. 1 ambulance is insufficient for this town. We were able to negotiate an additional ambulance. So now we get 3 ambulances during the day and 2 at night for the same zero cost. So this is, in my opinion, a home run for the fire department and the taxpayers and the citizens of Orange. Also, we expanded our first responder program, where we send an engine company on life-threatening EMS calls, or what paramedics go on. Paramedics go on 30% of the ambulance, about heart attacks, major illnesses, persons unconscious, child unconscious. We send an engine with first aid equipment also. So we're getting there with more people faster. So we've, in my opinion, greatly improved our EMS response in the city and protection. Our third thing is our grants. We were informed by Millennium Group last year that we had received a grant in 2010 for approximately $1,200,000. But for some reason, we never accessed the federal money. And they contacted us and said, you basically have like 30 days to follow up, or you're going to lose that money. Fortunately, I had our budget officer, Captain Cohout, who's back here. He's doing paperwork there. He's our payroll and budget officer, who was immediately given the task, and I'm happy to report to this council that he was successful in getting the full amount, $1,200,000, $237,000, Matt? Roughly $1,237,000 in last year's budget complete. So that would have been a major hurt for the city not to receive that money, so we're really happy we got that. The 2 minor things that we accomplished, I've started the process to replace some of our equipment. One of the biggest problems that we've had deferred purchases of equipment in the last 10, 15 years. And what's happening is now all the equipment is basically 15 to 25 years old. So last year we made a goal of replacing some of the smaller equipment. So we replaced all the SCBAs, or air masks. We purchased 45 of them. That project has been completed. We also purchased new thermal imaging cameras. You may see, like on television, the flare thing. Well, they have when I first came out, they were big. Now they're very small. We've purchased them for all the engine companies. So we are moving forward in purchasing equipment, and we've been in contact with the administration about trying, and with the council with the bond issue, to start working on vehicles. So that's basically my report. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Council members,
Council President.
Councilman Corbett.
Director Dowd, if you will.
Sure.
Can you remind the people in this room and those out there in TV land what they should do to stay safe during all this extremely cold weather that we're having?
Well, it is very important. We have had some serious fires in the last, over this winter. Also, we responded, I can't give you the address, but we responded to a building where it wasn't a homeless person. It seemed to be an elderly couple. They didn't have heat or electricity, and the woman passed away in the morning. When we got there, we were called by EMS and stuff. The elderly gentleman that was still with her did not want to leave the home. Luckily, we had a task force, police, EMS, OEM, and we had the Salvation Army, and we were successful in removing him from that home and bringing him to a facility. But it is a major problem in the wintertime, especially with these single-digit temperatures. People they start putting extra plugs into outlets. And what they don't realize, in the city of Orange, most of these homes are 100 years old. The electrical system was never designed for all the electrical devices that we have now. 100 years ago, you had maybe a little light stand and a fan, and that was it. The electrical wiring I'm talking about in the wall. Now you go into a home, and they have big screen TVs, they have multiple computers, and they have the heavy wire from the computer to the outlet on the wall, but the wiring behind it is probably the original wiring. So what we're telling people is that do not overload, put one appliance per plug unless you upgrade your electrical system in your house. The other thing is people are using, to cut costs. They have heaters, these propane heaters, sometimes which are banned. But people, when you get down to these temperatures, they start doing things to keep warm. Vacant buildings, the homeless problem, they're living in them. Once the temperature goes below freezing, they start setting fires to keep warm. So this is a problem in the city. What we recommend to people, to the homeowner, though, is be cognizant with the electrical heaters. Don't overload the plugs. Don't use any type of flammable liquid heating unit in your home for two reasons. One, it causes, when they do have a fire, you have an accelerant. The second thing that they don't realize is that the carbon monoxide is given off. When you have a gas heater inside a house, it eats up the oxygen. So you're getting carbon monoxide poisoning. And carbon monoxide is a odorless and tasteless gas. You don't really realize. I think we did have a call on Lincoln Avenue, on Central Avenue, where they went there and people were complaining of headaches. That's a classic sign of carbon monoxide poisoning. So we tell people, be very cognizant when you're using these devices, electric devices, and you can't not use, it's illegal to use any propane or flammable liquid inside a home. We'll also open the Fire Prevention Bureau. We go to the seniors with safety seminars, and any council person that wants us to put on the presentation, we'd be glad to do that.
Any advice that or any information that you can give us reminding us of the importance of your smoke alarm and your carbon monoxide indicator?
Yeah, it's usually, the old saying is when you change the clock, you change the batteries. Luckily now, the newer smoke alarms are coming with permanently and 5-year batteries, so we really don't have the newer generation, because what was happening, remember the first generation of smoke detectors, they had a little battery. A lot of people were stealing the batteries for radios or something, or taking them out. So what the manufacturers are doing now is they're putting in a permanent battery, you can't touch it, and it's good for 5 years. But we still have those old ones out there, so we still have the policy, when you change your clocks, change your battery or check your smoke detector. So that's what we're telling people now.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman Easton.
Director Dow, going back to the fire safety for the cold weather, isn't it also true if you use your oven, it emits carbon monoxide? So
It dries out, and it's gas. You're basically, and again, the big problem there, you're taking out the oxygen out of the air, Also, when it was never designed as a heating unit. Remember, that's the thing I'd like the public to understand. Your gas stove was never designed as a heating unit. And when you open that door, you cause a draft, and what happens is the pilot can go out. And now you have gas. Now, lucky natural gas does have what's called mercaptan put in there, so the rotten egg smell you smell sometimes, forget, that is a chemical that's put in by the gas companies. Natural gas has no smell or taste either, but they put that in there as a safety device, so to alert people. But if you put that thing at night and go to sleep, yeah, that's another reason we don't want you using your ovens for heating units.
And another question, how often do you update your evacuation strategies at the senior buildings?
Basically, they have all the senior buildings are what is called life safety hazard facilities, hospitals, nursing homes, the senior building high-rises. They have a plan, and once a year we inspect them quarterly, and the plan is usually once a year, because the buildings don't really change that much. You know, once we develop a plan, the structure has, unless they make some construction change in the building, like the entrance has been narrowed or something, then we would affect the plan. But once we develop a plan, it's usually pretty solid, and we don't really have to change it that much.
I mean, pre you becoming director, I don't know what that was under Director Chief DiMarzio or what.
Yeah.
All senior buildings, you had to have, and they used to do that as part of fire safety, you had to have a diagram of the building to tell you where the wheelchair and the people were. Have you done that? I know I always insisted that get done at Salem Towers. And I think we need to go back, because as people move in and out, even though you have what you say, there has to be an overlay and plan that will tell the fire department, which they did have. I don't know if you've updated it recently. If there's a fire in that building, you can go right in, you know who's...
Usually part of the emergency plans of any building, especially high-rises, there's a section in there that says anybody that is a handicapped person or would need assistance to evacuate, or has a is it mentally incapacitated or something, some physical or mental incapacity, usually those apartments are logged. Now, of course, people move out and leave, and they're supposed to update those. But when we go and do our inspections, the inspectors actually talk about that. So they should have that part of the plan.
I think that I would like, at least for my senior building, that you make that an item that you address, that you get a diagram as to where everybody is in the building. We always did that. The fire department always had a diagram that says apartment 6F, person in a wheelchair. So I don't know where that stopped or when it started, but I think we need to get back to doing that.
I'll check on it. I don't think it stopped, Councilwoman, but I'll definitely check to see and get back to you on that.
You need to update it, I mean,
Okay.
more than at least once a year, every 6 months, because the person in the wheelchair could have passed away. But I mean, we need to make sure that we know where people are, and we were keeping that up to date previously. I just want to make sure you reach out to Deborah at Salem Towers and make sure you have a list of everybody and where
Okay,
they are
Councilman.
in the building.
Well, we'll do that for all the senior buildings and all the life hazards. I'll make
But
sure
as
that...
part of fire safety, do you have an evacuation plan for the city hall and the police department? Being that they have those doors that, you know, you have to have.
Basically, the police department comes under a certain code, correction facilities. They're allowed to have certain locked doors as long as there are personnel on the scene 24 hours. Now, naturally, the police department has a dispatch center, they have a tour officer, so they're allowed to have locked doors.
I'm not concerned about their doors. I'm concerned about if there's a fire in that building, do you know if all of the police officers has those access cards so that they can get out? Do the doors open or do they close and lock? So I think that's another thing I'd like to have you report on for the police.
I'll work with Director Sims on that.
Director, and see if we have a fire
Yeah.
evacuation plan, that all the officers have a card access so
Yeah.
that they can get out of that building in case of a fire.
Like I said,
I mean, these
All
are some of
buildings
the
have to have
things-
exits that people can,
I
there are
understand that,
exemptions.
but keep in
under the-
mind, they have access cards.
Correct.
So we need to know if there's a fire, what do the doors do? If you don't have, do they lock or do they open up automatically? I mean, that's stuff that you should know.
Correct.
And also, a couple years ago, I talked about having a fire drill one night here at City Hall, because if there was a fire, how would we get out?
Well, I think if you look right back there is the
You
exit
don't
to
even
the
know if the
stairwell.
thing out there works,
I think it does work, because in the summertime, when it gets warm in here, we usually leave that door open. Now,
never
going
went
down the stairs,
But you
that's
never
another
went
thing.
down the ladder, though.
Well, I'll tell you something honestly, Councilwoman, the emergency ladders that drop down, we
Well,
don't
just
allow,
one night, let's just test it. Let's make sure with everything
I'll
that's
have it, I'll
happening.
have the ladder tested, but we
Exactly.
don't allow civilians to participate in that because it is a dangerous thing climbing down ladders, and most civilians have never done it, and the chance, but I will have the Fire Prevention
But that's
Bureau
what I'm
look at
saying.
it, though.
Just make sure that it's
Oh, we will look at it.
operational
Okay.
and that we can all get out if something happens. I think we need to put more of our fire safety into play and check a lot more stuff and make sure that everything is safe so that everybody is safe.
Okay.
Okay? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Easton. Director Dowd, have you secured your new cars that were approved last year?
We're in the process of, we have the cars at the manufacturers. They're being installed with radios and proper lettering and stuff, and I anticipate, according to Chief, March 1st, hopefully to have those cars with the lettering and all the lights done by then.
And there was a request for Eagle Scout CERT program. Have you been able to start working on that? And are you
The CERT program, I spoke to the gentleman from the, I think you're talking about the church on,
St.
okay,
Matthew's.
St. Matthew's Church. As I explained to him, minors, he is a certified and trainer, and he can teach them and give them a certificate. As far as minors being directly involved in the CERT thing, I'd have to speak to the law department, but there's laws about minors getting directly involved in emergency situations. And I think you really have to be 18 or older to be able to even do traffic in the street. And so anybody who's a minor, yes, can they take the training and get a certificate? We can do that. There's no problem there. Actually deploying them, I'd have problems with, and I would have to defer to the law department on that, whether we could utilize them in that sense.
So, the police has like a junior police academy. Do you have like a junior fire academy or anything?
Not at the present time, but I do think there is some sort of Explorer program, Junior Fire Explorer, where they're taught about fire safety, but like I said, they do not participate in any physical emergency operation. They would go to the firehouse or something to that. We could look into that.
Council members, Director Dowd to give a report. I'm going to have the clerk's office make a copy and put it in everybody's box. One of the things that you did not talk about in your report was Office of Emergency Management. Do you want to go over?
Councilwoman, before you leave, you were talking about St. Matthew's.
Yes, ma'am.
Director Dow, I think they were more looking for collaboration. Not that they wanted to use, but they need your support in getting that program. In fact, there was something in the bulletin. I don't have it with me. Do you have your bulletin, Councilwoman? I think I do. There's something in there about them asking for volunteers for that program, isn't there? And I
Yeah, we were in contact with the gentleman there. I spoke.
Coverage. He's a retired police officer, so he knows a lot about the law also. So I think he just wants you to collaborate. So maybe you guys need to sit down. Instead of you always saying, no, 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 you can't do that, could you sit with him and just go through what we can do and what we can't do so he can get the program off the ground? Isn't there something about volunteers for that program? Was it in this Sunday's bulletin or last? I don't see it. Last Sunday's bulletin.
Yes, ma'am, Councilwoman, I'll definitely
So
follow
you
up with
reach
that and
out
talk
to
to
him,
him. Yeah,
please.
sure. Just one second.
Council President, I arrived at 7:45 p.m.
So, no,
There it
thank
is.
you.
Okay. In the report, there's 3 sections. One is the fire department year-end report, second is the EMS, and the last section is the Office of Emergency Management. Presently, we have a part-time deputy coordinator. He was unable to be here tonight. And he has given his report here, basically covering certain incidences that the Office of Emergency Management has covered the last year. And I think it's basically the oversight review and approved by the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management, Essex County Office of Emergency Management. The Office of Emergency Management responded to 12 fire scenes. They don't respond to every fire, only multiple alarms or when we need them. Through coordinated efforts with the Red Cross, the Emergency Management arranged for a temporary shelter of 15 families last year. Their joint initiative with the Orange Office of Older Adult Services and the Salvation Army, and the Offices of OEM and Disaster Preparedness Presentation and Senior Citizens Community. They've gone to the seniors and given some presentations on OEM. And they've also been called on the snowstorms. When we have a major snowstorm, they assist us in if we have to relocate people or anybody, if there's a power failure in a building. So his report is at the end of this report. If you need any further information, I'll be glad to get back to you on that.
And I think,
Doesn't answer your questions.
and one of the things that would have been a part of the Office of Emergency Management, Councilman Corbett started with the extreme weather conditions. I know for the longer period of the low temperatures, we opened up a warming station. So under what conditions do we open warming stations, and how do people find out?
This time, so far this year, we had one incident where we opened the warming stations temporarily. The quickest one during the day is usually the Colgate Field, Central Field, by Central Lincoln. The other side, there's a building that usually has somebody during the day, and we make that the initial one because we can get somebody there. Our second thing is to get one of the schools. I believe, talking to Dr. Lee, we have the old school on Freeway Drive there and Day Street, Mount Carmel. I don't think it's called Mount Carmel. Scholars Academy. That's our secondary one that will open up. And then, depending on the need and the size of the emergency, we have other schools, and we work with the Board of Ed to open them, and also the county in case.
But I was hoping if we can get a protocol standard, if the temperature drops below, this will activate, so on and so forth.
Sure.
If we can have that going forward in the future.
Council President, one final question, if I may. Director Dowd, can you emphasize how critical it might be for folks to avoid plugging their electrical heaters into extension cords?
As I spoke before, these are older buildings. They were really designed for low voltage or wattage. A lot of, especially these electric heaters, they draw a lot of electrical power. If you need to use them, you use on one outlet, and that's the only device that should be in there, okay? Well, the problem that we see is people buy those multiple plugs with the heavy cable, and they stick it in the wall, and then they stick 4 or 5 units, like they got the TV, the computer, the printer, and then they stick, usually right then they're over the line. When they stick the electric, that's when the fuses pop. And the problem with the older buildings, you have fuses and you have circuit breakers. Circuit breakers are popped. They're much more safer. The fuse problem actually is like a glass fuse in these older houses. And what we've had previously, they pop the fuse. It's middle of the night. There's no store open. On second thoughts, I'm not going to describe what happens because of we're being broadcasted here, so I don't want to give anybody any ideas. Okay, let me put it this way: that they attempt to tamper with it, and that overrides the safety device. And I'll leave it there.
Gotcha.
But I recommend do not overload your electrical wall outlets with these heaters, especially in these. They're never designed for that.
And you should pretty much stay away from extension cords, period, because they will overheat and catch fire.
A lot of the extension cords, they hook up, they have to really be compatible with the device you're using. Some people have you have a high energy use heating unit, and you have a very low wattage wire, and that melts into the floor.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
And finally, you mentioned that if council members wanted you to come out and do safety briefings, if there's community organizations, they can call on you as well.
Sure, the Fire Prevention Bureau does this yearly. In the report, I didn't touch on it, we did numerous senior citizens buildings last year. I think 2,500 children were spoken to about fire safety. We have Fire Prevention Week. They come to the firehouse. For the time, I wanted to cut it back a little, but in the report, it states that every school year we go there, we work with the schools, and we have actually individuals who are volunteer firemen and officers who volunteer to go to the schools to give special lectures. So we do have a program for that.
Thank you very much. Director Sims, I forgot, did you? One more question, Director Sims. Did you get your new police cars?
Thank you, council. Thank you, council. Thank you, council. Yes, we've got our 3 vehicles, 2 cars and 1 truck. And I'd like to thank you again after you appropriate more money so I can get more vehicles.
You want to thank Councilwoman
And more
Easton for that as
officers.
well?
I'm sorry?
You want to thank Councilwoman Easton especially for that as well? Or?
I'll thank her more after we get more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And more police officers.
Thank you. Moving on to resolutions and ordinances.
Resolution and ordinances to be presented at tonight's meeting are listed on the attached regular meeting agenda. If any council member wishes to discuss any resolution or ordinance, it may be discussed at this time.
Council? And for the record, Councilman Abdul Rashid did arrive at 7:45 p.m. Seeing none? Should I slow down for a second?
Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Motion adjourned?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Easton, second by Councilman Corbett. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The conference meeting is adjourned at 7:50, what time? 7:58 p.m. Council, do you want to go directly, or do you need a 5-minute break or anything?
Keep it moving.
This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in the council chambers, 4th floor of City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, January 28, 2014, immediately following the conference meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Do a roll call. Councilmember Abdul Rashid.
Here.
Councilmember Corbett.
Here.
Councilwoman Easton. Here. Councilwoman Guan Butler. Present. Councilwoman Jones Bell is absent. Councilmember Marable is also absent. Council President Williams,
Present.
also present. Ms. Smith, Deputy Ms. Clerk. Mr. Hackett, City Attorney Representative. Director Marty Hayes.
Mayor Mays.
Mays. Mr. Harris, Legislative Research Officer. Ms. Amir, Clerk's Office. The requirement of NJSA 10:4-9 et set, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the record transcript and published in the Star Ledger on January 25, 2014, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk.
Moving, there are no minutes for approval, so we're moving to reports. Councilman Abdul Rashid, do you have any reports for the Housing Authority?
No, I did attend the Orange Housing Authority meeting December the 19th. The Orange Housing Authority, in fact, did clean up the area that was in dispute between the Orange Board of Ed and the Orange Housing Authority. However, they are in court in Belleville on January 29th regarding that same issue. With that, I conclude.
Thank you. Councilman Corbett, we've had public safety, so do you still have anything further to report?
I think all has been said.
Councilman Meeks, anything from the Personnel Committee?
I know, and I also have ABC, but I think we also discussed ABC already. Things are in the works with the illegal alcohol on Main Street, so that's all being investigated. Personnel Committee, no report. Do you want to? Well, we do have a new member coming on board.
And I think we have a court date. Do we have that date in front of you?
For
The pending litigation?
February the 28th.
Pending litigation regarding what matter?
The pending litigation, city,
I can't hear you.
the city council versus the city of Orange. City-
Okay, I just wanted to be clear because just pending litigation could be in.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Neeson, what day was the court date?
It's the 28th of February.
Thank you. There are no reports from the Finance Committee and constable reports.
Mohammed Toure, month of December 2013, Winnie Baran, escorting service around an event. OPA reports, the month of December 2013, we had 17 OPA received, 83 items completed, 7 items pending. Community service for the month of December of 2013, $12,415. The clerk's office for the month of November 2013, $392.54. The clerk's office for the month of December 2013, $1,166.58.
Council President,
Clerk, please follow.
before you
Yes.
ask her to file, Deputy Clerk, how has the process been going for you in your office concerning computers being up, phone systems being up? Has that been a hindrance to you, and has anything been done about it?
We have, our phones are up, but we do not get voicemail, and nor does anybody else in the building. The computer system, because of the wires being outside of the building, certain sections of the building will go down at certain times. It's just not the clerk's office, but my office and the BA office will go down at the same time because we share the same cord out the window. Anybody from the first floor, if their switch goes down, then the second floor departments will not also have service. It's past 2 months has been happening rather frequently. I have noticed that there have been gentlemen running through the building, climbing up walls and putting wires through the ceiling, so I believe that is being addressed.
So, as we speak right now, today, do you have any issues with your computer system?
Today it is up.
Okay.
We're happy.
Tomorrow we'll have to wait and see. So that's pretty much been a hindrance to you guys in terms of trying to get our agenda packages to the council in a timely basis. I guess it's like a fire drill for you.
Yes, that is, and we also have a problem when the internet does go down. We often do not get the emails that were sent to us. They get lost in some bit bucket. And now, we've sent things to Mr. Harris there yesterday, only to find out that it took 24 hours for the system to tell us that he never received it. So we have no idea if people are receiving our emails or,
Yeah, that's a problem.
because even if we put a return receipt, we don't get the return receipt for 24 hours.
That's a problem. All right, thank you.
Council President,
Is this in regards to reports?
excuse me?
Is this in regard to reports?
It's in regards to communications of the clerk's office, if I may add a word or two with
Councilman
respect to that.
Abdul-Rashid.
Thank you so much. On that note, I did call several departments, Mr. Mays, and unfortunately, again, the answering service is down. As you know, a couple of months ago, 3 months ago or so, the record will reflect whatever date it was. I asked Mr. Mapp in his office if he could have that fixed. He did have Ms. Knight fix that, but unfortunately, he did indicate at that time that it may go back down. So my point is, it is down. So whatever other communications may or may not be working, the answering machine voicemail does not work. Thank you.
Clerk
And would you
Fox.
relay that to Mr. Mapp? Thank you so much.
Mr. Mapp is right here,
Where's he at?
right there.
Okay, I beg your pardon. I don't have eyes in the back of my head. I want to rephrase that. Mr. Mays, can you communicate that to the administration?
Clerk, please file reports.
Yes, ma'am. We're up to number 6, communications and petitions. There were none. We have citizen comments on general issues and agenda items pursuant to Section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township. Each person addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name in an audible tone for the record, unless further time is granted by the presiding officer, shall limit his or her address to 10 minutes. Also, the public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments.
Campanella Godfrey.
Campanella Godfrey, City of Orange Township Cultural Affairs, a division of Orange Community Services. I'm here today, Council, to address a few things. First thing is that on March the 22nd of this year, we plan to reenact another march for shaking now. We plan to reenact another march that we've been doing in the past, about from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. The march was originally a Voting Rights Act, but this year we want to turn it into more of a Stop the Violence of the Orange Act. And when I say Stop the Violence of the Orange Act, I'm here to try to help get the community to come out and help recreate this program that the police department has already started, and it has been an ongoing program, but it's been stopped in certain neighborhoods. It's called a Neighborhood Watch Program or the Crime Watch Program. And we know that the police can't do it all by themselves. They need the neighborhood to come out and volunteer. And that's what the march is all about, getting the community to come out and volunteer. But prior to the march, we want to get as many people to sign up, many volunteers to sign up to help set up neighborhood watch programs in their community. Lieutenant Soto, Ms. Jackson have already instructed me on how to go about helping with some of these programs. And we want them to meet with them, want the people to come out, meet with them. They will instruct the people how to do these things. So we can take our city back. Orange is a blue ribbon city. It's always been a blue ribbon city. But, we have to come together at some point in time as a community, help our police, help our fire, because, they can't do it alone. And in saying that, I know that we need volunteers, so I'm asking the council, each one of the council, since you are so well known in the town, to see if you find 5 volunteers from each one of your wards to help us set this program up so we can move it on and keep it as an ongoing program. And at the end of the program, we'll have testimonies from some of the people who have neighborhood watch programs in the neighborhood. Councilman Hassan, Ms. Carissa Bradshaw, just to name a few, have successful programs in the neighborhood that have stopped the crime. And then when the Director Sims come up again, you can say, hey, our city, our crime has dropped over half. So, that's all I'm asking. So can I get it from you, council, because you will give us 5 people each as volunteers to help us set this program up?
We're committed.
Since we all live here.
Councilwoman Neeson, like you have a question for Mr. Godfrey.
I do. Mr. Godfrey, would it help maybe to make it a lot easier and more accessible if we set up a night at City Hall where we could have people come in and sign up, and it would make it easier than them trying to call this number, that number?
Councilwoman,
What do you think?
People that come in the City Hall and set up, look at what we have behind us. When we come to the council meeting, we have to go out to the people. We have to reach the people. We got to take another.
So you want us
Yeah,
to
look, we
reach
have-
out to the people versus having everybody come together and...
Well, it's like if you give me 5 people from your ward, he give me 5 people from his ward.
I don't have a word.
You know 5 people. 5 volunteers. Give me 5 volunteers, 35 volunteers. Together with that 35 volunteers, we can create a neighborhood watch program that will help our city, will help stop the crime, curtail the crime within Orange. And that's what we need to do.
I think you guys are saying the same thing. She's just saying, I believe, and I don't want to misinterpret. She's saying that even if we get the 5 people, could we have a date?
We will have them.
If you can hear me out. If we could have a date, I think she's suggesting, could we meet here with the 5 people? So I think you guys are saying the
Yes,
same
of
thing.
course. I'm my apologies. I thought you were saying we just at random call people in.
No,
But yeah, we
just
have,
a
yes,
date where
yes.
we get the 5 people, we invite them out, and if you publicize it, more people might come.
Well, this is,
So-
tonight is the kickoff of the program. I just wanted to bring it to your attention, everyone's attention, and get your support in it also.
So come up with-
So we're going to have leaflets, flyers. I've been meeting with people prior to this about coming out doing it. Everyone seems to be on board. Everyone wants Orange to be a better and safer town.
But come up with the date when you give your flyers, so we
All
can
right.
say, if you're interested, we'll bring 5 people each. But if you're interested, meet us at City Hall on this night at this time, and we will get the
Thank you.
program
I can
off
ask
the
for no
ground.
more than that. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr.
Good.
Godfrey.
Council
That's
President,
it.
Councilman Abdul-Rashid?
if you don't have any advertisement with respect to that on Channel 35, I just humbly suggest that perhaps you could put something on 35. With that, I conclude.
We plan on using every avenue that's possible to get it to the communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Godfrey. Director Davis, Tamar Davis. Everybody's looking forward to meeting you. Introduce
Good evening.
yourself.
Good evening, Council. My name is Tamor Davis, Executive Director of Orange Public Library.
Can't hear you.
Can you speak up louder?
Yeah, sure. Executive Director of Orange Public Library, Tamor Davis. I appreciate you allowing me to come and speak before you in regard to Orange Public Library. I have a few concerns in terms of the library. I'm proud to say that Orange Public Library reopened. We had a great reopening ceremony. Also, we had the Martin Luther King celebration. In fact, Councilman Corbett was actually a co-host with the Mayor Warren, of that particular event. So I'm proud to say that. And we have some upcoming programs that I would like to bring before the council and let you see. Shooting. We have numerous Black History Month programs for the citizens of Orange, and we're developing ongoing programs for the summer and look forward to doing additional book orderings and, working with the community at large. I want to present my speech, if you will.
If you could just speak a little louder.
I just want to present my speech to the council. Again, I appreciate the council allowing me to come out and speak before you. I am elated to once again be a part of the Orange Public Library family. As I assume duties and requirements to operate the library, I am concerned about the viability of the organization. It has come to my attention that the Orange City Council has reduced the library budget by 30% to $503,000 during the January 7th council meeting. For reasons set forth in this letter, and on behalf of the library staff and patrons, I humbly request that the budget be restored to the 2013 level of $703,000. While I fully appreciate the lean fiscal times of the city, state, and nation are facing, a 30% reduction would drastically reduce operations and service to the residents of Orange. The ability of the library to provide comprehensive service to children and adults who have missed our amenities and resources will be severely curtailed. The biggest blow will be to our dedicated staff members. In fact, this will limit our ability to maintain adequate staff levels, and employee layoffs will be imminent. As you are aware, the library received $703,000 in 2013. which allocated to library operations and salary wages of all employees. Due to state-required repairs of the library was closed as of April 2013. All employees were placed in area libraries where they provided the same level of exemplary services to the libraries that they were placed. The compensation was covered under the 2013 budget. The line item for the executive director was applied to the cost of the required repairs in order to ensure that the library will reopen under the approval of state inspectors. This was necessary because, unfortunately, the city was unable to provide additional funds to address the needed repairs. Currently, there is no remaining balance from 2013 as required by the state of New Jersey law. The library will have an independent auditor conduct an audit for the 2013 year. I will notify the council when we have completed our audit and make the information available to you. It is imperative that the library remain fully funded as it was in 2013. Thank you very much.
Council President?
Councilman Abdul-Rashid?
I'm not going to get into a debate here, but certainly since he made several references to the city council, and according to the map that I've done on my 10 fingers, I would be 1/7 of that. I would like to respond very briefly to that. And again, I'm not going to get into a debate here. You seem like a very nice gentleman, but certainly I just feel I must ask you just a couple of questions. Wasn't you the library director previously?
Definitely.
And how long was that tenure?
It was about 4 months.
4 months. Okay, well, with all due respect, did you draft that document you just read from?
Well, what now?
That's a no, sir.
Could have had help.
Yes, I
or something
did.
like that did.
sorry.
I mean, a lot of people helped me draft mine. Don't
Okay.
take it personal.
Okay.
The library is a public institution.
It's definitely a public
Since
institution.
you've been gone, it's been a lot going on, and even before you arrived for 4 months, if that long. You alluded to the fact that we had taken some funding from that, from the library. I don't even know, quite frankly, and I don't know if it's because I'm the slowest person in the room, but quite frankly, I don't even know why the library was actually closed, but that's another story. So I would need documentation to understand furthermore why the library was actually closed, which and this is my last comment, I just don't know. I don't know how fast you hit the ground. I know you have a lot of library experience. I know you were here before. But it's a lot from A to Z regarding A, why the library closed and all of the particulars surrounding that whole issue. Again, not to get into that, I would need more substantial and verifiable information as to, quite frankly, and maybe everybody else in Orange understands why the library was closed except for me. But being 1/7 of the council, at least at this juncture, I quite frankly don't even know why the library was closed. So I suggested, I believe I did, that we take the $30,000 when we were doing some appropriations a couple of months or a couple of weeks ago, which you wasn't here, you had nothing to do with that. And so that was one of the things that I suggested, because certainly, again, there's a whole lot of money issues going on with the library. And again, I quite frankly don't even believe that the library should have closed, and quite frankly don't even understand why it was closed. And with that, I conclude.
You don't mind if I respond to your comment? I'm sorry.
Mr. Davis, what I'll do is I'll allow you to come back to matters of discussion, and you can have time with the council to go back.
I appreciate that.
Council, just 1 second, Council. Just to know that that was a temporary appropriation.
Yes, madam.
So we just actually funded the mandatory amount that the state state, the number from the state required. Not to say that we won't consider the level that is required, but there are some financial questions when you come back that we will prepare you for.
Madam,
that you
no
can
problem.
answer at that time.
Yes,
Councilman
Madam
Mason.
President.
And if you're going to have him come back, Mr. Davis, for matters for discussion, maybe he could bring a breakdown and show us a correlation between the 503,000 and the 703,000.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that we will understand what the 503,000 does not cover,
Okay,
that it covered before.
okay.
And I think you should share that with all of us so that we can have an understanding of why you're saying you really need the money, and some type of financial report for the library, which we have not been getting. So
Okay.
it would help us if we could understand.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Mr. Davis, I don't know if you gave out some great programs that are going on. One is going to be a partnership with Fairleigh Dickinson University, and one, as he stated, was programs of Black History Month. If we can ensure, Mr. Mays, communicate to the administration that that's put up on the website, that we can get the press participation. One of the things I wanted to ask Mr. Davis, you made a great leap that we have a tremendous school system that's improving our K through 8 in high school, which is improving, and now the partnership with Fairleigh Dickinson. We have a need for a GED program. So when you come back, if you can do the research for that, and not as a pilot, as a seasonal, we need it on an ongoing basis, so that, you know, because there's a gap, you know, so we can
Okay.
consider that when you come
Thank you
back
so
as well.
much.
Before he leaves, did anybody else? Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Da-
Thank
Mr.
you.
Davis, if you can stay with us tonight, I'm sure a lot of citizens may turn around and have questions regarding the library, and you may need to hear that. So if you can stay through all the citizens' comments, that might be helpful for you as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay. William R. Lewis.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Madam President, members of council. It's been a while. Happy New Year and all that good stuff. And the couple of things here, just to give an overall tone. For those of you who missed the notice, just want to say that my granddaughter received scholarships from over 3 colleges worth in excess of $87,000. And I only say that to say, if you hang around in Lewis, you're going to get some assistance. You'll come. I don't like being on a losing team, I'm going to tell you that. And that's why I'm in your case all the time. I don't like going to wakes out of town and having people laughing about the city of Orange. But there was a hearing a couple of Fridays ago on one of Mr. Fell's cases against the city, and I told you before, city attorney and the council members should be represented there. There was no one there. There are things that are said between the judge and the attorneys that are important to anyone who's in a operational capacity. It's called a colloquy. And some interesting things came out of that and raised some very interesting questions. But be that as it may, Resolution 26, it's good to see that you're honoring Amumu Baraka. And while you praise his ability at writing and so forth, one of the things to remember, talking about the all-around person, he was a good track star, too. And just for your information in the field of letters, it's a young man named Joseph White, won a Golden Globe Award for writing several years ago, also from Essex County, played center on the Southside High football team, worked for the Newark Evening News as a reporter one time, so keep that name in mind, because he too is of note. But at the same time, we had a number of people in Orange who contributed a great deal to this town, and they passed over that time frame. And they are Hilda Golston, who with her husband had a business on Central Avenue, She was very active in civic activities with her sorority. I believe she's an AKA. And Gregory Dillon was a code enforcement inspector here. He was also formerly South Ward Chairman, Orange Democratic Party. I don't, well, consider that, anyway. And last, purposely, but not least, Lou Hassel, who served on the planning board for 30 years, was chairman for 25 years. In addition to that, he was active in the PTA. He preceded me as president of the Hayward PTA and chairman of the Educational Advisory Committee. He was a physical mathematician with Department of Defense, provided a great deal of service to this town, and in fact was known all over the state for his activities in planning and land use. Coming back to the court case, I said, and the city attorney wasn't there, you probably ask why. The reason why is an outside attorney. The city attorney who hired him is supposed to monitor his doggone activities. Make sure, and the council should be there because they want to hear what's being said, because you may not be getting correct feedback from your attorney. I was there, I have legal experience, legal training, in addition to engineering and a bunch of other things, and I was not impressed by that young man. And just as an aside to that, when I was last here in December, there was a young man with me and some questions going on up here, and he said, he asked me later on, what was that all about? That's my son. He has a degree in architecture and computer science from New Jersey Institute of Technology. Some of us die hard over that name change. But anyway, he was here on business. He's a partner in a computer company. Good things do come from good people. Ordinance 55. This has to do with this environmental commission or whatever the devil you want to call it. And essentially, there's a lot of work that has to be done with that. Number one, it's new, totally new, in terms of anything. And it appears like, in fact, I'll say it specifically, the way it read to me was, they're in charge of everybody. They supersede the planning board, the zoning board, and God knows who's else. The mayor appoints the chairman. If you just look at the ordinance for the planning board, that's not done that way. And if you want things done properly, and you want to maintain checks and balances, that's not the way you do the job. And but I think the thing that bothered me most is that you're going to have a new board with a new bunch of people who we don't even know, by a mayor who we barely know, and there's questions about many of his appointments in that regard. But they suddenly are going to step into this field, and let me tell you, just because someone has environmentalist in front of their name or after their name, or whatever, it don't mean diddly squat. Okay? Because if they don't have engineering training and background, and they understand the economics of business and development, they're going to make dumb decisions. We're in that fight now, arguing about the Wellstone pipeline. And North Dakota is going crazy. They got a pipeline up there. The unemployment is 2%. People are making money hand over fist. The average salary is over $100,000 a year, and we got idiots in Washington debating whether or not they should do Wellstone because of some stupid environmentalist. And that goes back to '75 when the stupid Congress passed a law that gave them standing in the courts, and that's why you're having trouble. You may think it doesn't affect you. It does affect you. It's raising the cost of business unnecessarily. Ordinance 56. This looks like an attempt to have the state step in and also put down some things that are personal. And I speak from experience because I was the finance chair for 15 out of 16 years. and I was telling some folks recently, I'm going to start taking credit for the 16th year because the person who volunteered to take over the job didn't do it. Failed. I had to step in and save the thing. Did the whole budget schedule in 30 minutes. That means getting input from the council, input from the administration, and so forth to make this thing happen, and from the clerk, and working with the clerk on the doggone thing. You can't do that by legislation. That's a personal skill that someone has or doesn't have or whatever, but it's easy to find out how to do it. I've said it before. I don't know. I'll tell you what, let me just be frank and simple about this. In my corporation, if you didn't ask for help, guess what happened? And you fail, we demoted you or fired you. And most people I've seen, you know, these people talking about racism and all that junk. Most of the people I've seen who failed did not ask for help. They did not get clear understanding from their bosses as to what they wanted. I don't know if they talked to them. They went out and did something, turned it back in, and it wasn't satisfactory. And they didn't get raises, they didn't get promotions, and eventually some of them were asked to leave. The dumbest question that you don't ask, that you can ask, is the question that you don't ask. There is no such thing as a dumb question. And you shouldn't be ashamed of it. If you don't know something, just stand up and say, hey, I don't know, tell me what this is all about. I've done that over my career, and it's interesting sometimes. I'm the only person, I know that in one case, there were 3 people on the agenda speaking, and they kept using some initials, OCEC. So I asked, you know, when they finished and all the questioners had finished, because I always hope someone asked the question. No one asked the question. I'm not afraid to ask questions. I asked, what does OCEC mean? Occupational Center of Essex County. Rocco Mioli was the director. Only 4 people in this conference room knew what OCEC meant, and they were afraid and ashamed to ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Feld.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld, a local businessman whose business address is 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. As my custom, I have posted various heads-up comments and questions on the city's www.nj.com website. Many of these comments and questions were not addressed during the conference meeting, and one that I would like to know, and I think a lot of people behind me, is do we have a new acting BA? Because based on documents that were produced to me pursuant to Oprah, Mr. Mapp became the acting business administrator on or about October 9th, 2013. Under the city's ordinance, the acting position is for 90 days. That would have terminated sometime in early January. Who is the acting VA? Has it been continued? Is there someone else? I don't know. Maybe tonight we can have an answer, because I think a lot of people want to know that. That's a neutral question. I want to thank the clerk's office for working with me on Oprah. And we heard some of the problems that they're having with technology is beyond their control. I want to talk to the council as a friend, as a vice. On December 24th, 2013, on Christmas Eve, the appellate division issued a split opinion in a case called State versus Saavedra. It's a published case. Because it's split, it's most likely going to the state Supreme Court. Please read it, because it talks about willful misconduct and the crime of not producing documents. You need to read this. So it's like an encyclopedia. The judge who wrote the opinion, the majority opinion, was Judge Faselli. He was one of the judges who sat on the Feld 2 appellate panel. As we talk about Oprah, Open Public Meetings Act, technology, I'm kind of shocked that before the meeting, I went on the city's public website, and on there's a brochure that I guess is going to be part of the address that we're going to hear in the mayor's address about moving Orange forward. You know, no, basically all the great achievements that occurred in the last year. The question I always have is, who selects what's put on the city's public website. I mean, the state, through the best practices, says we should have the audits. I would think we should have the action compliance plan that was approved at the last meeting should be on. How come that's not on? Because especially when you get to the bill list, when you look at the action compliance plan, there's reference to a missed unemployment pension payment and a penalty in excess of $300,000 that we, the taxpayers, had to bear that burden. Why are taxpayers paying a penalty? And you just can't dismiss that. Someone didn't do their job if someone didn't pay the unemployment compensation that was due and a penalty was assessed by the state. And you can't duck that question because it's on the bill list today. Because on the bill list it says you're making your first payment pursuant to a payment plan. You never explained that payment plan to us, that being the people that pay the taxes in the city. And we need to know, one, how come that liability was incurred? Two, how come our outside consultants did not pick this up, that being the auditor or the budget consultant? But three, why are we paying for it? And that's one of the things we're getting concerned about. Because when this leads into the bill list, in the last few months, we've been paying bills. I mean, today I finally got the Quorum Rhymes backup for a bill that was put back. The legal bill is from 2008. 2 meetings ago, you approved a quick settlement because one of our outside attorneys had sued us. We're paying for bills that were due for about 2 years ago. And he said, like, if we didn't approve this, we would have to pay an extra $10,000. When you look at the bill list, there's payments for the bond counsel for work that was done in 2012. How do we know what bills are were incurred within, let's say, a year? How many bills are old and cold? And one of the things we're having problems with the clerk's office, and this is part of the issues that we had with the Rocket Docket in FEL 12, no one in the city can produce the execute a retention agreement for the outside redevelopment council. And one of the issues that we have in FEL 12 and in a lot of these other cases, our outside redevelopment council is also the redevelopment council for East Orange. In April 8, 2013, they signed an agreement with East Orange. And that agreement says, if we are representing a redeveloper and that redeveloper wants to do a project with the city, we will disclose that to the city of East Orange, and the city of East Orange will get special outside redevelopment counsel. One of the things I'm trying to find out, and other people want to find out, if we had those same protections in this city. And one of the things that Judge and Councilman Lewis was referring to, Judge Rothschild says, I'm not going to waste any more discovery here. I'm going to make a ruling, give the city what they want. They rejected a proposal by Mr. Feld, asking that they do what East Orange and what the city of Newark had just advertised. Why are they different? You can't explain it. Go explain it to the appellate division. That's where we are. Because people want to know, if East Orange and Newark do it one way, why does Orange do it differently? Why does Orange not have the protections that East Orange does in the retention agreements with their professionals? And why can't the city find a copy of the executed retention agreement? These are getting serious issues, and refers back to the case I just talked to you about, where the appellate division started talking about if documents are public documents, these are criminal acts. These are possible criminal acts. And we're getting to a very scary situation. And it's not the clerk's office, because the clerk is now going to the various department heads saying, where are these documents? Like today, I made an OPA request. And the response I get from the finance director is, please elaborate. The request was, can you produce to me all invoices incurred by a certain date by the outside redevelopment council? He says, please specify. What do you mean by that? How much more clear can we be? How much more clear can the acting payment person not be? Now, going to the bill list, no, the ordinance resolutions today. There's a resolution to retain the outside auditor. On December 17th, you withdrew a resolution to retain him. That resolution in December referenced that there were 3 basically competing requests or bids to be put in. If you look at the resolution that's in front of you today, there's no reference to 3 other bids. So what happened? Was there a new bid? Or in December, we received 3 bids, and no one explained why you were selecting the McInerney firm. I like Mr. McInerney, but sometimes if there were 2 other competing bids or suggestions, we should know why we're continuing with Mr. McInerney, and especially in light of, we now know, based on an OPA response that was received today, that in 2012 and 2013, we didn't receive any payments under Walter G. Phase 1 and Phase 2, and COs were issued in April 2012. Why didn't our auditor pick that up, that we haven't received payments? Why didn't our outside budget consultant? What I'm suggesting to you, if the resolution in front of you is not factually correct, the procedure, and I don't know the answer to that, but all I have is what happened in December to say there was 3, and if you look in today, in January, there's no reference to the 2 others, which is correct. And who made the decision to recommend the McInerney over the 2 others? I don't know the answer because there's no backup to it. And it's a missing link. As to the bill list, I made a lot of some of my references. We have to be careful. And one of the problems we have is, at the last meeting, I was caught in the snowstorms. I couldn't get up from Florida. Flights were canceled. There was a walk-on temporary appropriations. Today is January 28th. I still have not received pursuant to Oprah an executed copy of a resolution that was adopted 21 days ago. That's outrageous, because one of the things at the back of the bill list, there's payments for various salaries and wages. And how can one compare what you're paying if you take these numbers and you start multiplying by 6 to get you through the 3 months? Are we going to be in line items? Because one of the issues that we have here, they're now having Hillside, there's no way for us to know what's under the salaries and wages. Are we paying for positions that were never approved? Because in the newspaper, the Star-Ledger talked about in Hillside, they're talking about a new position like director of like a human resource type of position that was never created. It's sort of like the issue we have now, how someone was like a bait and switch, how someone originally was the acting business administrator, then become a chief of staff, and now they're in charge of personnel. We don't know who's getting paid, have they ever been authorized? And I think that goes back to some of the questions the library had. You had to help us. You can't walk on certain major legislation without us having an opportunity to look at it, because we're always trying to catch up to the problems that we're having. Please be careful. Please respond to the questions about the auditor. Someone needs to be on the record, and the record has to be created. If you have a resolution from December that said that you received 3 proposals, why today is there only discussion of 1? Someone has to explain the gap there. This is what Judge Rothschild is getting upset about. He doesn't want to waste time in it, discovery. And it goes back to what Judge Kennedy tried to do for us. He said, and he delayed the hearings. Remember, he delayed having the hearings like 3 or 4 times, asking you to cure yourself, cure the mistakes. Maybe Mr. Feld is nuts, but sometimes he's right, and you listen to him and cure those mistakes. And also, it's like the letters you're getting from the state. Like 2 years ago, about the use of UEZ monies for the billboard. The letter that came from the UEZ board said is, to the city council said, we're not, at the state level, we're not going to get involved in it. You need to start controlling your own destiny, you're controlling your own housing. And that begins today on the bill list and on some of this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feld. Hassana Shaw.
Yes, good evening, Madam President and council members. I want to present to you an issue that I had.
Can you just start with your name and address?
Yes, my name is Hassana Shaw. I live at 406 Highland Avenue.
Thank you.
And on November 21st, 2013, at approximately 5:35, I was riding down Lincoln Avenue, which is next to my house. I had a passenger in my car who was visiting me from Florida, and I was very embarrassed on that day because I was pulled over by Officer 308 near Jackson and Henry Street. I saw the officer who was parked by Lincoln Avenue and Central Avenue, and I asked him several times why I was being stopped, and he never told me until he gave me 2 tickets, which were totally unwarranted. Now, most of the police officers in Orange, I have to be honest, have been very helpful to me over the years, but on November 21st, Officer 308 was rude and nasty to me. He even gave me a ticket for running a stop sign 2 blocks away from where he was parked. And yes, a police officer, and I had to go to court for it. And when I went to court for it, he committed perjury. He said he lied about it. And I thought that things like this only happen in the movies, but it happened to me when Officer 308 lied under oath. So why do you ask that I bring this issue to you, it's because several of the citizens and I were treated like criminals by Officer 308, while the real criminals in the city of Orange went back to business as usual. And I pay taxes and I shop in the city of Orange. And I was told by some of the officers when I went to court to save money and time, take the deal, make a plea, even if you didn't do it. And it led me to ask myself, how many young men who don't have the means to get a stellar lawyer or who don't know their rights are told to take the deal, make the plea, plead guilty, even if they're innocent? Now, I want to just say for the record that there were officers in the court that day who know my character and who tried to assist me, and I'm grateful for their assistance. I, however, am ashamed as a citizen of this city for the actions of Officer 308, and it is because police officers like him that regrettably people who see crimes, they don't say anything because their actions, meaning the police, Officer 308, foster distrust and tensions between the citizens of the city and law enforcement. Now, as someone who is tired of hearing about killings and carjackings and robberies and crime, and who is also the victim of a violent crime, I'll always report everything that I see because I don't want what happened to me by the criminals nor the people who are who take an oath to protect and serve this community. I don't want what happened to me to happen to them. So I ask that you look into this matter if you can, and keep your eyes and your ears open for rogue cops who only destroy the fabric of our city and the trust of our citizens. I spent approximately 18 hours of my time that I will never recoup in the court over this incident. Court rarely started on time. Several days I had to wait approximately 6 hours for my case to be heard. In conclusion, Officer 308, the court system, both of which represent the city, did a great disservice to me and to the other citizens of the city of Orange. And I am just ashamed, embarrassed, and perturbed about what has happened to me because I don't think that that should have happened to anybody else. There was someone who lied under oath. There was someone who committed perjury, and I thought that I was going to court when someone was going to tell the truth. But it didn't happen. And like I said, I thought that things like this only happen in the movies, but they don't. It happened to me.
Ms. Shaw, have you had an opportunity to talk to Director Sims?
I talked to Director Sims briefly. He's very helpful. He was very open. He listened. I didn't explain everything that went on with him, but I think I need to have a conversation with him about this incident as well.
I want to do two things. We are at a minimum, so Councilman Corbett really can't leave his bench. But I'm asking you to take his card, and he will contact you. And then if you and Director Sims can step over to the other area, and he'll have a one-on-one conversation with you right now.
Okay, thank you.
And on behalf of the city and all council members, we apologize that you had to go through something like that. Director Sims, thank you. Ms. Stewart, Gloria Stewart.
Gloria Stewart, a resident of Orange. First of all, I'd just like to ask a question about the condition of the sidewalk in front of the post office. I noticed they clean it, but they don't dig out a walk. So if the snow is, or the ice is built up high, you have to struggle to get over it in order to gain entry to the sidewalk. So when you have a home, one of the requirements is that you do your sidewalk and also have the part so you can gain entry. But if you go to the post office, you would understand what I'm referring to. It's very difficult to get over the ice. So I want to know if anything can be done about that.
Director Meigs, he'll have Director Mr. Corbino to go have a discussion with the postmaster, and we'll report back to you on that.
Okay. In listening to Director Sims' report, and I'm really glad that I came at a time when you have reports from the various community people, the people that service our community, I'll put it that way. Now, my question to the council is, I know at one time, you know, they were talking about the number of police officers that Orange should have had or did have. And I know you don't like to discuss it to give away certain, you know, to be that transparent. But I'd like to know, have you reached that amount? And I just heard one council person say that more police officers. So you got a car or whatever. So I'm wondering if you're looking into that direction, if you think it's necessary that you should add more, even though we're like 2 square miles. That's just, you know, food for thought. And I'm looking at, and I don't want to say musical chairs or musical positions, you know, when are we going to get some stability with our BA? When are we going to get stability with our financial officer? I'm here almost at every meeting, and so right now I still don't have a handle on where we stand with the people that you have in place. And I'm going to say this too to the mayor, if he sees this, I think he should be sitting right up there to be accountable, and I'm going to continue doing that whether he sees fit or not, to sit up there. You know, you should be personal enough to come up and to sit to be able to answer the questions. And I picked this brochure up. I think it's awesome. I really do. Because you give the impression of a city government that's working together. It's beautiful. And I'm hoping that even if it is not the case, that you will work on making it being so. You know, let it be so, that you can come together and get, you know, things going. And I know it's no excuses. Like when the administration came on, a lot of things were going awry already. But that past administration, outgoing, did a lot. So I know you have to recoup from that, and then I'm going to use the term move forward, but hopefully in a positive direction. I want to say and correct something I think that about the fence in Oakwood. I brought that before council and the board. Now, I was told by Mr. James that he had his people to clean it up, not the housing authority, and not as I was promised by my Marty Mays. But Mr. James, he showed me the picture of his men doing the job. And I also have a picture of the finished process. Awesome. But the thing that troubles me, I shouldn't have had to come before you so many times. I shouldn't have had to go before the board, because it's supposed to be about our children and, you know, the place that they attend, making it beautiful. Even though, I don't even know if I can use the term beautiful because of the condition of, you know, like the portables. I was there when the state gave it to the board, you know, temporarily. You see how long temporary has become. And my concern still lies with, and the other piece that was so interesting today, you know, God has a way of making things happen. And I'm saying the fire department gave a report about how they take care of what they've done, the 3 points in terms of, you know, the code and what we should do and what they're doing. And I'm not knocking that, but my concern was, and I brought it before, you know, the board, the portables. Is it safe? Do the kids, are they able to get out? You know, sure, you look at it and say it's okay. And then we're talking maybe 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, maybe the codes weren't up to par. Maybe we need to look at it again. You know, like as time moves, things change that you have to what do you say? Upgrade. You know, is it time for that? And then I noticed you got reports from the fire department. And I guess my question is the public privy to the reports? Like if I were to ask for a report on the condition of, say, maybe a building, what do I need to do to get a copy of that report from your inspectors? Is it a crime that I ask? Do I have to go and climb up hills or mountains to get a copy of that? Do I have to go to Oprah? I'm just asking, do I have to do that? Or can I just say, may I have a copy of the report to see, what you're saying? Is it sound? So I'm just putting that out there because I'm not, feeling that. And we talk about transparency, so, that's one of the things I'm concerned about. I want to also just say, I had an unpleasant experience, and this is a different topic, of going to our tax department for someone. I was doing a favor, and I was asked. So if I go to the tax department and say, give me my liabilities of what I need to do, say, give you an example, on the 16th, all right? You lay it out to me, say, Ms. Stewart, this is what you need to do to get this taken care of. So I say, you know what? I can give you a check. They say, oh, no, you can't. We can't take a check. And I understand that. Oh, I can do my debit card. Oh, no, you can't do a debit card. The debit is supposed to be just like cash, I thought. Could be wrong. But you tell me the debit card you can't take. Say you got to bring this amount of cash, and then I tell you I also want this done. Okay? So I come back, this was on, say, maybe Thursday, Friday. I come back the next, say, couple of days, and it was a snowstorm, which would hinder me, my, need to get there as soon as possible. You take my money, cash, and give me a receipt, sign off on it, right? So how I got involved, and I just use that as a scenario, I was asked to go pick it up. When I got there, I'm told that I got to give you your money back. And that was like maybe a day so. Because a company had already, they came in the day, I think it was the day before, and bought it. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you're going to give me my money back. Guess how that person paid? By a check. But you wouldn't take my check. And I'm like, and what hurts was that I'm one of the constituents here of Orange, which should matter. You didn't show me any, not really consideration. You gave me my money back. Cold cash, not a check. Not even a debit card. So I just wanted to put that out because we have a tendency, and I'm listening to things that are happening now, and I hope I'm wrong. We have a tendency to, go with the LLCs, with big companies, but you got to keep in mind and work with your constituents who are trying, I believe. Now, my last comment is going to be on the library. I'm ecstatic that it's open. Haven't been over there yet, but just the mere fact that you allowed it to be open. And I think it's a good thing because, we've been sort of preaching and asking when is it going to open. The people, the citizen need the library. And I'm looking at the young man who is the director. Sometimes when we look at the people, we feel like they're too young to be in a position. And, I have to say we shouldn't look at that, and I'm not saying that's the case, but sometimes we do fall into that category. But some of them, they can work a ring around things. And I don't even know the person, but just the mere fact that he came up and he was asking for help. Now, I'm hoping, as a resident, that this council will step up and help with the library so it doesn't have to close again. Now, I know it was some reasons that were stated why it was closed initially. First the condition of the building, I don't know, because I wasn't there. I can only go by with what I'm told. But what I would like to know is for that question to be answered. Why was it closed? Since, it's in doubt as to why it was closed. But it was closed for a long time. And it was missed. I got the people at school where I work, they're ecstatic, the librarian, that it is open. And so I was here when you all reduced the funding. And I was here when they said also, if you have the $750,000, you need matching funds. Now my other concern is, I'm not happy with the means. Does the means justify the end? the funding that was gotten for the library, you know, if you don't make a fuss or whatever, you go and ask, and I'm referring to our governor being part of that. It bothered me, but yet the library is open. So I'm saying, does the end justify the means? So, but I just gotta play with that and live with that concept. The library is open. So I'm hoping, and if you know they need that money, I would rather see you search it out, work with him, find out what he's need, and make sure that the money is being dealt with properly, because my understanding was that you had to have matching funds. I'm not a rocket scientist or a Lewis or whatever. I'm just me trying to learn, and I'm an advocate for residents of this city, because helping them helps me too. So I'm hoping that you will work with this young man and, you know, don't beat him over the head, because the library didn't just get like that, you know, and I'm happy that he hit the ground running.
Well, I'm going to cut you right there, Ms.
Okay.
Ford, you reach your time. But,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I will just speak for the council in terms of library. The council have always been supportive and over-supportive for the library, and I don't think you're going to have, I think we just need some answers to some questions. That's all we need. Councilman Corbett, you still had a question regarding the amount of police officers?
We're 16 police officers short.
I didn't want you to tell me that number, but because they said you didn't want the, you know where I'm coming from.
We are short, and I do commend Director Sims for all that he's doing. The cameras do assist us a lot, but we need more. And I'm personally, and I know some other folks are on board with this, we're personally looking for ways in which we can get more police officers on our street. They shouldn't have to work like that, and we shouldn't have to suffer behind it.
I remember in 2010, there was a group talking about cameras at that time. We met, we had different meetings. You're going to have a camera here that you can be able to monitor, and this is before they even got as good as they are now, the cameras. But I don't think it ever came to fruition that you could be in the police station, and I'm not saying that this is a good idea, and you can monitor things that are happening on each street. Where did it go? And again, I know my time is up, but I'm just saying, a lot of time people come in with ideas, and I'm like, you got consultants. Are they coming in for the real reason or just to make funds?
But I think, just to correct what your statement just made, I think, Councilman Corbett, you can correct the statement regarding the cameras. It did, and it actually is.
Yes, those cameras have actually helped the police prevent a crime, a serious, major crime from happening. So they help tremendously.
All right, so you're going to keep it going?
Yes, oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We want to add more.
All right.
And regarding your question about the tax department, Mr. Mays, if you kind of can take it and then get back to Ms. Stewart, we have to get back to you about maybe there was 2 cleanups, because I know the Housing Authority did do a cleanup. And
Mr. James, he showed me.
No, we know that the Housing Authority did do a cleanup, so maybe they did, and they're probably working something out, because they both need to be cleaning it up, shared, and I know Mr. Mays is working on that. And then, do we have an answer on a BA, Mr. Mays?
There's no, as far as I know, there's no BA, acting BA right now.
Thank you. So we'll follow up with that. We'll keep you posted, Councilwoman Eason.
And I just want to let Ms. Stewart know that Director Dow and Mr. Superintendent Lee and Mr. James is working on your issue about the portables. He's going to collaborate with them and make sure, because if you remember, the state put them there 19 years ago.
I was there.
So the state has to, he's working with them to address your concerns. So in the near future, you will probably get a letter from Superintendent Lee, but not, because he's ultimately responsible for the school district. So the two of them are going to work together on that.
I don't want anything to happen.
Yeah, and
and it's, that's my concern.
I had a conversation with Superintendent Lee, and so they're going to work together to respond to your issues on that.
Okay, so I won't bother them next week.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
But I'll follow up also, make sure you get it.
All right, thank you.
Harold Johnson.
Harold Johnson, 235 Fuller Terrace, West Ward, Orange. Good evening, Council President, fellow members of the council. Happy New Year to everyone. I haven't seen you in a while, but I may have prematurely signed the book because I noticed one thing that I came in to address. It says public hearing on February the 18th, so I'm going to go take my seat.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Happy New Year. Murphy Wilson?
Good evening, Murphy Wilson, 362 Haywood. Well, I'm going to start on that topic, and that is the first ordinance involving the elections. I am all for trying to condense elections and save money. I think that is important. However, I'm very concerned. I think it is out and out wrong to even consider doing that with the election cycle that has already started. The citizens here deserve a fair and open election, and to try to mess with the one that's already started for our municipal election that's coming up, that, in my mind, that's just self-serving, and it's election tampering. It's just wrong. If it's so critical to save money, why didn't you come up with this last year? It should have been brought forward last year if you want to do it, not once this cycle has started. I just see that as tampering. If you want to do that for the next municipal cycle, when everyone has a chance to know, has proper notification, and it's not in the middle of one that's already going on, okay, fine. But suddenly now, when things have already started moving, petitions have gone out, people started their campaign funding and so forth, and now somebody decides, oh, we need to change the date. Come on. That just doesn't even smell right, you know. So I've said I think that's election tampering. I will move on to the library. The comments and questions that came from council this evening are very valid. I'm glad to hear the concern and the curiosity about what's going on with their budget. I think that's great. These meetings are already notoriously long. I think that discussion, and particularly questions about their budget and how they're spending their money, are very appropriate for the budget hearings, which are supposed to be coming up, right? Right, okay. So I think that would be an appropriate time to have your questions answered, maybe even prepare the director for the things that you want to hear about. I remember we used to do that back once before when we had a director at the library. So I think that would be a more appropriate place for that discussion. And I'll be there to hear it. And I think lots of us will. I'm going to move on to the bill list. And that since we have budget season upon us, in order to do a proper job of budgeting, we need to know what we spent by line item. And that needs to be brought forth. What happened in 2013 in terms of what did you budget, what did you spend? And that really should be the first thing you should look at. Now, I'm just looking at, on the first page, there's a bill for Millennium Strategies, the grant services. Okay, this is a bill for $8,300. And my question is, what grants did they apply for that we received? How much money did we get as a result? Because if we didn't get $8,300, why do we need to hire them again? But that question needs to be asked. Secondly, on the same page, and I'm relying on my memory, so it could be fuzzy, but I'm adding up May, August, November services rendered for Lurch's professional services. And then further down the page, it's May, August, November services rendered. And the two items together add up to over $57,000. I remember from last year's budgeting, you only budgeted $50,000 for that. So I think you should.
Two different bills in this.
I understand that, but the total, I remember there would be a lot of
Two different services is what I'm saying. One is for the water study and one is for the budget consultant. So
right, and there was a lot of discussion about that last year, and I still thought the total was only $50,000.
No, not for the both of them.
All right, all right. All right, I'll move on to this very mysterious-looking bill. This is on page 7. It's a Verizon wireless bill under this mysterious category, prior year's bills. And then we have monthly phone bills, $9,000. What is that all about? What years?
What was the amount? I'm sorry.
9397. It just says Verizon. Below it is Verizon Wireless, 602. That's the December phone bill. Okay, I understand that. But
Did she say page 7?
Yeah.
when I printed it out in portrait form, it comes up to page 7.
But tell me the amount.
I'll give you the account number 4-01-30-410-000-633.
That's on page 7?
No.
For me, it's page 7,
Say the amount again, Ms.
9397.
9,397.
Correct. Says monthly phone bills under a category called prior year's bills.
I didn't see that in my package at all.
I saw it.
And I'm asking about it because it's this mysterious bill here. It's $9,000. But if we don't have answers for these kinds of things, 9,000 here and 15 there and 2,000 over here, and, you know, that starts adding up to hundreds of thousands of dollars if we don't know what this is. It is just before the water sewer operating, if you know where that is in your bill list. It's about halfway through the whole thing. And because the pages don't have any other number, my printout says it's page number 7. There's no footer or anything that I...
Did you see that?
No.
Don't either.
Can I show somebody?
Can you? Yeah. Okay, prior year bills. All right, give us a second and we'll go through that.
Looking at water
Okay.
sewage, that's on page 15.
You on page 15,
Yeah,
Councilwoman
but I don't
Easter?
see nothing about Verizon on page 15.
Their
I
bill,
was just trying to give you an idea of where.
you said
See,
page,
even your number's different for water sewage. So you sure you got the right one?
Right, this is what's on the website.
But it doesn't mean it was
what's the
right.
front of the, let me see the front. Can I just say the, we're gonna come back to this, no, I'm just
I
trying
thought
to
I saw it. Maybe I
Can
didn't
you
see
give us
it.
to Ms. Scary?
I thought I saw
I'll pose a
it.
question to Mr.
Maybe it was the
Scary.
900 or something that I saw.
Yeah.
Would you do that for me, Ms. Wilson? Let's get that to Mrs. Scary, and then I'll present the question to her.
No, I don't see that either.
Was that, no, and let's keep going, 'cause we'll let her, but you
I
need
read
that,
the whole
you have
bill,
other
Louis. I
questions?
didn't see that.
No, no. Go ahead.
No, that's the end. Because of this confusion, if there is a way that we could put page numbers or footers on the bill list so that citizens, when we're trying to I mean, obviously, I'm not making this, I'm trying to make you understand where it is, but I don't have any other reference, and it appears as though if it's printed out landscape versus portrait, the page numbers may be different, but I'm not sure. But maybe if they just put some kind of page numbers or footers on the bill list.
Councilman Williams, I went through the whole bill list. I didn't see that on there, so I don't know if the right one was on the website.
Right.
Okay.
Because it says January 17th,
Yeah, so, I mean, I go through it with font.
All right, well,
So I don't know if I
Give me one
missed it.
second.
I could have missed it.
well, I don't want to hold up if
No, no, I'm
there's
getting
other
ready.
people, because I'm finished.
Let me have Mr. Scary. Mr. Scary, do you recognize that bill? Do you need time?
I do need
Okay. Ms. Wilson, we're going to come back. I'll come back to
All
that,
right,
okay?
all right. Thank you.
And then, as you know, on ordinance 1-2014, there is a public hearing, and we hear you about the library. Eddie Amore. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Madam President and City Council. I'm honored to be here. My name is Eddie Amore, and I'm a resident at 419 Alden Street in Orange. And the subject, kind of like an informational thing that I wanted to bring up today to the council and to the residents that are here, is Verizon, Fios, in addition to Comcast and all the other media systems that we have. But Verizon is the one that we don't have. And basically, let me say one thing first. I've worked for Verizon for 15 years, and I've spent a lot of years in the telecommunication business. I'm still doing the same thing. So I come with, you know, fairly decent background. And basically, Verizon built 90% of the Fios system in the city of Orange, and they stopped. And I'll conclude with that part, but the reason that I'm concerned, and I want to bring it to the council and the people, is that Comcast or Cablevision, but just to have one provider on a landline side as opposed to just the dishes is not good. My experience in the short time I've been in the city of Orange with Comcast is they holding you hostage, basically, because you don't have any other choice. So, being that 90% of the Fios is built, it would be fairly easy for them to finish it. I've talked to them, and they basically said, and I knew this previously, they decided to stop. In, I believe it was 2012, they said, we're going to take the money that we have allocated for this year to finish Orange and whatever other towns, but specifically my concern is Orange, and we're going to take that money and we're going to appropriate it to the marketing department, and we're going to go to Montclair and Belleville and Bloomfield, the towns that we already finished, but we didn't get the customers that we anticipated we were going to get. So that's, excuse me, that's why it didn't get finished. And you can look around inside Orange and you'll see large cable loops that are tied onto the pole. Now, when you see that, and I'm speaking from an experienced fiber splicer that has done the Fios installation since 2006 and helped Newark get Fios in those homes by going to the city council. When you see those loops put up there, it means that all they have to do is send the splicers back out for the entire city of Orange. It wouldn't take any more than 2 months. How much money they would spend, they would definitely recoup. They do not do anything without knowing that they have a certain date that they're going to get the money back. So they basically said, Montclair and Bloomfield and those places, even though we made a mistake and we thought they were going to, you know, jump on this and we were going to make this money with all these subscribers, it didn't happen. So they took that money, like I said, to the children and the parents and basically everybody in Orange to get high-speed internet, the best in the country, that only, I think, Google is doing that can compete with it. And I'm not, you know, your rah-rah, oh, get the Fios, please go to Verizon. I don't even work for them anymore. I don't like them personally as far as their management. But fact, it is the only service aside from Google that's only in 3 other cities in the country that has that fiber going to your house. And what that means is that the capabilities for the future, for the broadband, the speed, and I was listening to the difficulties that you're having somewhere inside the building, and I was saying, I wonder if that's from outside. But the fact of the matter is, again, I'm not a Verizon proponent. All I'm saying is their technology is something that's sitting right outside of our doors that they decided we weren't important enough for them to finish the job. I mean, 10% of the job. And that's basically what it comes down to. And, you know, I can prove that it will take a little bit longer. And I'm not a person that believes the first thing you do is go and jab somebody in the stomach and tell them to give you what you want. You know, you get more sugar, you get more flies with honey. And with that being said, you know, I have some friends that are in management in the first and second level, and that's basically how Newark originally got the fiber to come there, because Councilman Gonzalez knew some people, and after I discussed it with him, he went to them and said, hey, what's going on, and convinced them that when you were down in Morris County and you were down in this place, you had 5 customers per square mile, whereas in Newark you have 50,000 customers per square mile. Mathematically and financially, it behoove you to expedite wiring Verizon up. Now, with the size of Orange, it's not so much, it's not as concentrated as Newark, obviously, but the consistency of the people that pay their bills in Orange has been researched. That's why they came here. You know, they've made a lot of mistakes in the past. They've done buildings in Newark and in New York, where I've worked recently in the Coney Island area and in the Bronx, where people were getting it wired up and then just getting it disconnected when build time came. 440 Elizabeth Avenue in Newark, they shut that building down. On Sussex Avenue in Newark, I mean, why would you consider doing that? They had somebody that was running the program that wasn't familiar with the real estate and the residents. So here in Orange, it's an outstanding fit. Not just the people basically are financially middle class and upper. When you do the figures, that's what they do. You have a school system that is conducive to the product, because when they look at it, they say, well, how would it be used a lot? You know, would a lot of people look at it and say, wow, when you look at the commercials and you see the little girl that, she's this big time, it's a cool commercial. And it makes a point. We have a very good school system here. And you have a iPad in the house, the phones, the hard drives, etc. I installed service in a person's house in, I think, South Orange. And the man got 300 megs, and that's like super fast. You can download, all kinds of things, streaming. The thing that was important, with that example, his daughters came up to him and hugged him and told him he was the greatest dad in the world. They were children he adopted from China. What does that say? They were freshmen and sophomore college students that were constantly streaming videos from China. So until they got that fiber, they weren't even able to do that. And I listened to the chairman of the FCC this morning, and he basically was talking about how their biggest thing was for every school system in the United States to have high-speed internet, including Orange. Okay, and the president has given the FCC billions of dollars this year for that to happen. Not just the school systems and the homes, but the hospitals, etc., because it's an initiative. Portugal has had fiber optics to everybody's home for 15 years. And we're supposed to be a lot more advanced than them. Obviously, Japan has had it for maybe 25 years, but it's sitting outside our doors. And last point I want to make is, from what I understand, Essex County has a board that oversees the FCC. And I don't know if Orange has a person that sits on the board. I know Newark does. But they basically can tell Verizon, excuse me, okay, we tried to talk to you, it didn't work, but we just want to explain to you. When you signed that contract, when Corzine signed the contract, he allowed Verizon to not have to go town by town. That's the law. You want to put cable in, because Verizon wasn't in the cable. Just telephone, high-speed internet with the DSL, which is the worst in the world. They went with the fiber to get in the cable business, because the cable companies were getting in their business with the phone service. so they need to make money. They signed the contract. Corzine said, you know what, you don't have to go town by town and negotiate, because Orange might say you got to give them X, Y, and Z, and the other town, and it's a slow process. Corzine said, sign this, and I'll sign it, and you don't have to negotiate with anybody. But you have to wire up the entire state, every town in New Jersey. And for every town that they don't, when the town brings it to court, Verizon gets sued. But they say, what's $8 million? That doesn't mean anything. But when the FCC counsel comes to them and says, guess what? We got a problem. And it goes to the state FCC. Then the FCC says, you know what? That $80 billion project that you were trying to do in Atlantic City, it's not going to happen until you wire Orange and so on. So like, that's business. That's how it is. That's when you got to, pull out the boxing gloves and do what you got to do. It's not at that point.
Gotta have you wrap up.
Okay, it's not at that point. I'd be glad to get in contact with the people that I know in order for the city council to be able to discuss it with them so that they will be able to finish off the job.
Can we, Mr. Mays, do you have any cards with you? Do you have any good?
Councilman Williams, could I just interject 1 second before you do that?
Yeah.
Mr. Moore, I live on Cleveland Street, 373.
Yes.
And in the same area that you live. My son has been with Verizon 20, and he still does files, but he's doing it in Jersey City. I worked with telecommunications for 34 years, so I know New Jersey, Bell, Verizon, AT&T, all of it. But for a person whose internet goes out every time it rains, the phones are, the installers or technicians are there for repair almost every month at my house. We have been trying to get files. In fact, if you know on the post where they have the pairs and all of that, you know about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Every time they put in a new phone, they take one of my pairs, give it so my phone goes out. So I'm constantly calling them because they don't even have enough pairs in the box to expand for new people moving in.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you want to connect, we can connect.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been trying, I've had supervisors out there, and they've told me that they are not ready to do files in our area yet. So if you know somebody, and I know somebody, let's get together, and we can try and figure out how we can get that done for that area.
All right, so Councilman Muniz is in charge of this now. You can pull out a card for him and Mr. Mays, but I will say this, files is in Orange, and I don't know how they did it because I live on a 2-block street, and it's on my block on the right-hand side, just because it's a new development. So it is in, certain parts Orange, but I would, because we have to have Comcast come before us, because they're supposed to come before us annually, and we're waiting for the law office to follow up on that. Mr. Hackett, if you can take a note on that we've asked for that several times, but Councilwoman Easton, if Mr. Moore can have your card, and Mr. Mays, and do you want to, Councilwoman Easton, initiate the meeting so we can get the discussion started?
Sure, no problem.
You got your card out?
But you know I need it.
You got your card out?
No, 'cause I don't have.
Okay, so take Mr. Okay. So if you email Mr. Mays, and he will get your information over to Ms. Easton, and we'll set up a meeting so we can begin to have the discussion.
Absolutely.
And then Comcast is long due,
Do you
you
have
come
a
back
card?
before this. Mr. Mays.
Unfortunately, no.
He got Mr. Mays' card, so he's gonna
Yes.
email Marty.
Okay.
Mr. Moore, give me your number.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and
Let me hear-
we'll definitely make it happen. Definitely.
Kevin. Council members, give him that, please. Going back to page 16, Ms. Lascari, I think perhaps what Ms. Wilson was talking about was page 16.
Yes. The bill list is the same on the website, sorry, Joy Lascari, CFO. The one on the website is condensed version, so it just gives you the total for each purchase order, whereas the one that the council get shows you every line item within the purchase order. And that's what the difference is.
So, because it's $10,000 on the bill list, and it's like 9,000 some odd
If you
dollars.
add up first, all but the last two, all of them that say Verizon, the one purchase order, they're all the same purchase order number.
Okay.
That's what she's referring to. It's
Councilman?
actually,
Do y'all see it on page 16?
Yep, and it indicates prior year, it
It's
indicates,
saying 10,000, it's a difference.
it indicate prior year's bills.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you just said it again, Mrs. Scurry, the difference again is between 10,000 and 9,003?
What the council has shows the detail of every line that's on the purchase order. What's on the website is a condensed version that gives you the total of each purchase order. If you'd like, maybe in the future, I could provide for the council the same copy that the citizens get on the website, or you can just pull it up off the
What did
website.
you just say? Tell me the difference between the 9,300 and
Would you like me to
10,000.
show you?
Or is it, just show, can you point it out so that all the council members can see it?
Okay. You see the purchase orders on the left, number 14-00057. It has line 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 10. That's all one purchase order.
Right.
If you were to add those up, they would equal $9,397.70, which is what shows in the condensed version of the bill list that's on the website.
So why does it say, so...
You're getting every line, so you can see the detail of the purchase order.
But where does the 10,000,
The other two lines are another purchase order, and if you were to add those two items together, they would be...
are there the numbers below it? No.
Would you like me to show you? I think it'd be easier.
No, that would be 12,000.
No.
Because the first one says 10,000, the second one says 2,000.
No. Stay within the same... Let me show you.
The 5755 and the 544.
Right here.
When you jump, yeah,
Yeah.
these two, the first ones entered.
Okay, got you. Got you, okay, I got you. Okay, see it.
This is the condensed version.
Right.
This is what shows on the website.
Okay. All right.
It gets the detail.
Okay.
Details.
Okay, so like the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines equal up to 9,000, and then the, okay, 600 brings you to 10,000.
Yeah, I mean, the council can also access the website and see the condensed version that the public sees, so.
Okay, and Mrs. Carey, these are all landlines?
The ones for Verizon are landlines, the one for Verizon Wireless are cell phones.
Okay. All right.
Cell phones are like 600.
Councilmember, any other questions? No? Yes? Okay. A motion to close.
Move.
Citizens' comment moved by Councilman Corbett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Abdul Rashid. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I would like to go right into council comments. Councilwoman Vaughn Butler.
I'll pass.
Councilman Abdul Rashid.
Mr. Mays, Council President, through you to Mr. Mays. Obviously, Mr. Mays, we had a brief discussion relative to the water main break on Carteret Place on January the 19th, which was this early Saturday morning. As a result of that break, it created a smoke fire in the transformer. Can you close that door until those folks excuse themselves? Thank you.
Or ask them to go to the
As I was saying, on Saturday morning, about approximately 5 p.m., the water main break interacted with some wires, caused a fire. Orange Fire Department responded to that. Then the United Water obviously came into play. This happened about 5 a.m. Saturday morning. As a result of that, the streets on Rose Terrace, Seven Oaks Way, and Carteret Place from Central Avenue heading south to Highland Avenue, they had to turn off all the waters in those homes and apartment buildings. Now, You know, it was an act of God. I'm never going to criticize God, if you want to call that a criticism, but there was no communication, not just with me. It's not me. It's more so was no communication with all of the folks that was affected by that, and I incidentally was also affected, but it's not about me. What I'm saying to you is that, so calls came into me, got in my car, went down there, saw the detour, went around, heading east on Carteret Place. You could deduce that there was a major water main break. The hole was basically the size of this, XYZ, and the guy from United Water was very cordial, very respectful, very nice. I forgot his name, but you mentioned his name, and I want you to convey to him that I thought he was extremely courteous and professional. Took me there, showed me the water main break, explained everything to me, but the point I'm making, on the other side of the fence, there was no communications, in my view, from City Hall and or the administration on all fronts. Didn't hear anything from the United Water, the liaison, Mr. Mobley, Christopher Mobley, and that is his title, so that's why I'm saying his name. Didn't hear from anybody, and I wanted to ask you what mechanism are in place moving forward with respect to that, and if the city can give certain blasts relative to the snow and this and that, can they send partial blasts to affected areas such as that? Because if anybody or anything, in my view, required a blast, it would be because of that situation.
For clarity, Councilman Abdul-Rashid, that was just past weekend?
It was on January the 19th at approximately 5 a.m. in the morning, which was a Saturday, on Carteret Place.
You didn't get an email about that?
No, I got several calls from citizens wondering why their water was turned off. And I got in my car and went down there, saw that there was several detours, went around and as I said, talked to a United Water representative who told me what was going on.
And just before the clarification, this is the email that went out to all the council members?
No. I beg to differ.
Well, look, I'm just trying to clarify.
No, and I'm clarifying for you. Number one, it wasn't it, so that clarifies
This was a different one?
Again, that wasn't it. This is the one that I just described. You're talking about the one on Thomas Boulevard.
No, I'm talking about the one on Carteret.
Anyway, if I could just have Mr. Maine respond.
I'm
got
just
a
trying
text
to-
message
that's what-
about that.
Councilmember Hassan, I am trying to. I am going to let him, Director Mays, is this the one that you sent a text message, we went back and forth, and Chris Mobley followed up the following weekday?
Yeah.
With the email to all council
Yeah.
members? That's what I was, did all and I just want to make sure it's just not you. Did any other council members get the email from Mr. Mobley? As well as the text from during the weekend?
I did.
I got the text when it happened, and I got the email afterwards.
Now that we've said that, Mr. Mays, can you respond to my inquiry?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm not sure if Councilman Hassan
did not.
Abdul-Rashid, I don't believe he got anything.
I did not.
It's funny that the week before that, the council had requested that they wanted to be notified, and then that happened that Saturday. So really, we've had several water main breaks based on the weather, and each time we've gotten a little bit better in terms of how we respond to the council. So right now, you will be getting an email and possibly text message, because what's happening is when the water breaks, obviously, your constituents call you. And
Director Mays, just before you finish, I don't know if it's still going on. Could you let the audio know that they're having, that the sound that's coming over this radio, over the TV station is not clear? Can we just let, Ms. Ronaldo, can you just let them know in the other office that the sound is muffled? I'm sorry.
That's all right. So the bottom line is, we will be doing a better job in terms of notifying the council and letting you know exactly what's going on. You can always feel free to call me. I do get a lot of calls. Sometimes, most of the times I've heard about it, but in this case, I didn't have all the details. I did get a call from Council President, and So you should be receiving something. We put something in place, Chris Mobley and myself, to make sure that you guys are notified on a timely basis as what's going on with the water and when we have water main breaks.
Council President.
Yes, sir.
Through you to Mr. Mays, apparently your comments have clogged up what I was saying. The issue is not that the other council members, no, hear me out. Now let me finish my statement. I didn't say what the other council members got. I said Councilman Hassan Abdul Rashid, and just for your clarity, you keep saying maybe I didn't. I didn't get. That's why I got in my automobile, drove down there, and talked to the United Water supervisor who filled me in on what happened. So for the record, I did not get notified. That's first and foremost. Now that we're clear on that point, can you tell me, is there a mechanism in place that partial citizens can be notified by way of blast? For instance, the folks on Reynolds Terrace, the folks on Seven Oaks Way, and the folks on Carteret Place between Central and Highland Avenue, using that incident as an example. Do we have the capabilities to do that?
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, can you find out?
Yeah.
And for future reference, can you tell whomever contacted the other council members, could they be considerate enough to contact me? Thank you.
Councilman Abdul Rashid, and for clarity's sake, I'm looking at the text message, and I sent it out to all council members, including you, but the one I'm talking about, Director Mays, it actually happened on Saturday, January 11th. And on this specific one, Councilman Abdul Rashid, I called Mr. Mays because Councilwoman Gaunt Butler had just asked, and then I sent out an email after he found out what from United Water, and then firefighter Jamie Anderson actually went over to ensure, and he talked to United Water to ensure, to see how long the power outage was going to be. And then that following week, Chris Mobley actually followed up to all the council members with a email that stated, kind of recapping what happened. Now, actually, I'm looking at the text message, but that was January 11th that I'm speaking of.
That did not help anything I said. My 2 points
I understand
about
what
my notification. So all we're doing is wasting
Councilman
time.
Abdul Rashid, I understand what you're
Okay.
saying. I'm just clarifying the miscommunication between you and I, and just going back and look what was said. And in terms of what we do use when there is a mass message to get out to the people, we've been using the school system, their reverse 911 system, and I believe the mayor is in conversation about them and having a partnership where we can use it more for things of that sort.
Mr. Mays, would you get back to me on the capabilities of that? That didn't clear anything for me. Moving right along, Council President, through you to Mr. Mapp. Mr. Mapp, I want to thank you. A couple of months ago, I had asked you, would you have the voicemail looked into? You directed Takesha Knight to do that. She did do that. It was on for a few months. Unfortunately, it's off again, and the only reason I'm addressing this to you, even though you're not sitting over there, is because obviously Takesha Knight falls under the auspices of your department, so I was wondering if you could work with her to see if we can get that again. And I'm clear on what happened in the communications that I've got. Moving right along, with respect to the library, I haven't met anybody as of yet who doesn't want the library open, isn't glad the library isn't open, and does not enjoy the library being open. So I think I'm going out on a limb here and say that most folks want that. The question is, why was the library closed? That's the question. And there was some statement made that the council closed the library. I did not close the library. The determination to close the library, from my understanding, was that there was some OSHA issues, which I have the report, which I gave it to the citizens because the administration did not give it to them, closed it temporarily. Once those temporary items was rectified, nor did they get fined, that was just a span of minimally, giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, was 60 days, maybe 2 months and a half. The library did not need to be closed, in my humble opinion, which I'm going to go out on a limb here and have an opinion, from April to when it was open a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, whatever the case. Now, if everybody in Orange understands why the library was closed, that's fine. I do not understand why the library was closed, and sitting in this position, being in Orange for 29 years, taking my kids to the library, I do have a qualified opinion that I believe that the library did not have to be closed in excess of 2.5 months. You have a right to believe what you have a right to believe. I have a right to believe what I have a right to believe. If everybody's, I'm happy that the library is open also. I went by there the other day. I purposely didn't go to that political event when the library was closed because it's tantamount to me to somebody robbing somebody. They don't have the money to pay their bills, and then the robber give them their money back and then saying, hey, you know, pat me on the back because I gave him the money back, the victim the money back. To this very day, I still believe in my heart of hearts, I did not close the library. I did not create this situation. Surely the library had some issues long before this administration got there. But the decision to ultimately keep the library closed was not voted on by the city council, was voted on by the Orange Library Board. That's a fact. So I'm happy the library is open. I still don't know why the library was closed. And that's the question that everybody really needs to be concerned about. There was, they say that there's additional money that the administration got from the mayor. If the administration got $750,000 additionally, recently, from Governor Christie, then that money should be appropriated with the $750,000 that's already parked. Then why, in that same vein, it's being said that by the administration that we need to pass this $9 million bond issue so we can still get that $750,000. You know, it's like Molly, it's $750,000 here, $750,000 here, and it's $750,000 here, and it's like this here. I'm happy the library is open. I did not close the library. I need somebody to explain to me in Orange, New Jersey, or the state of New Jersey, why the library was closed. Now, if everybody's happy with why it was closed, and you know, then so be it. I don't know why the library was closed. With respect to the new director, yeah, he's a nice person, but I don't know if he know all the facts when he was only at the first library board meeting in January. Speaking of that library board meeting, I don't know who was at that library board meeting. That was one of the most passive-aggressive, disrespectful, sarcastic library board meeting I have ever been in my life. No one was allowed to answer any question. The library board president was sarcastic and arrogant, and whoever was at that library board meeting, and there's a couple of people in this room that was there, I don't know if they have the courage or guts to say that, was one of the most controlled, passive-aggressive, restrictive, contrite. They didn't even allow the new director to make any kind of restatements, just with general questions. Until my questions are answered, I will never vote on any appropriations for the Orange Library Board, not because I don't want the library board to be open, because one, it didn't have to be closed, and two, the way that library was run at December, which I was in attendance, and there's a couple of people that was in this room, was one of the most negative public meetings I've ever had, and the public director was at that meeting. Now, I don't know what his view is, but that's certainly mine, because again, I have an opinion, and I've been going to the library boards long before it got popular to go and politically to go, as of just 2 years ago. Thank you. With that, I conclude.
Corbett?
Well, to Campanella Godfrey, who was really pushing this neighborhood crime watch, and he has pretty much given the council an order in terms of getting 5 people each. I already have one in place. I know. The library, I know it's early in the reopening of the library, but I think the direction that the library is going in is a good thing in terms of them marketing the library, making it known that the library is available. I think they're doing a good job so far. The question is, can they maintain it? And they're utilizing it more. The mayor will hold his State of the City address at the Orange Public Library, I believe one tomorrow. 10 o'clock and 7 o'clock. He has to. No 7? Did they cancel that one?
We got flyers at home, just say 10.
We'll clarify.
All right. With regards to Mr. Davis and his request, I totally support providing as much funding that is possible that we can get our hands on for the library, because the library still has a lot of work to be done. You look at the bathrooms in particular, they are not handicap accessible. There are no railings in there. Those things have to be addressed and taken care of. We have to come up with a plan where the library is put in a position where it has operating funds to maintain the library. I don't know whether that was done in the past. You look at all the work that was done and all the work that still needs to be passed and done. It doesn't look like it was really something that people took seriously. So I would like to see the library in a position where the operating funds can be put in place where they can maintain that library. Now that it's reopened, we certainly don't want to see it closed again. So that's the trick. How do we keep it maintained? And with that, I'm done, Council President. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Eason?
Yeah, I'd like to make 2 announcements. On Friday, February the 7th, Luna Stage will present Master Harrell and the Boys at 8 o'clock at 55 Valley Road in West Orange. So let's all try and support that. It's that the Valley Arts is presenting that play. Also on, and I need you all to put this on your calendar, especially Councilman Corbett. On Sunday, February the 16th at 11 a.m., St. Matthew will be having its Black History Month celebration. And he's inviting, I think all council members got a letter. Mr. Mays, we want to see you there. Director Sims, we want to see you there. And anyone else that wants to attend, please come out and support this event. And let's show that this city can support some of our churches in the city of Orange. Mr. Mays, I know you got to get up early, but that's okay. And our sitting attorney, Mr. Attorney Hackett, I want to see you there. And the rest of them, everybody else.
You want all employees there?
All employees.
You said with the exception of me, right?
Oh, I said especially. And our Attorney Harris. So let's show some unity for our city, and everybody that can, please come out and support. Mr. Rinaldi, I didn't forget, did I forget you? And where's Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, he left.
Yeah. Carl, I expect to see you there. Carl Smith, I'm sorry. I'm calling him Mr. Lewis. I just need to ask a few questions, and I think this is directed at Mr. Mapp. Mr. Mapp and Mr. Mays, a while ago, the Orange Police Department, you know we need the card scanner for the doors. Where does that purchase order that's something we cannot sit on. It's an emergency. So why haven't you all responded to that, you and Mr. Mapp?
Well, basically, with the card reader at the police building, it's been an ongoing situation. And I believe at this point now, we're reviewing the 3 quotes that they got to do the job. I think we're supposed to meet next week and make a final decision. So that's something that you'll probably see coming online.
So it should be on our next meeting agenda for approval?
It should be. I mean, I believe I have the quotes in my office, but I want to just sit around and try to figure this out with the police department. So it's something you should see shortly.
Could we make a commitment that it be on the next agenda for our approval so we can get that done? Because not only are you putting the officers in jeopardy, so we need to make sure that is done expedited, so maybe at the next meeting, we could have it on for approval so we can get that taken care of. Sometimes in Orange, it just takes too long for things to get done. We need to speed up these processes. We're in a new budget year. There's no reason that shouldn't have been done already. And
Okay.
that goes to Mr.
The
Mack
next
and you
meeting, though, is the
also.
4th, right?
Yes.
Huh?
I don't know what the
How
window
about,
is.
the next meeting is next week because of the delay. Could you give them to the second meeting in February? 'Cause
It's next week.
You got, today's just Tuesday.
Oh, well, we'll try. We'll see what I can do.
All right. And I think they have some more orders in for some equipment, Mr. Mapp. Could you make sure those orders are processed for the other things that they need over there? I think one of our priorities is, just take a look at what you have that you're sitting on and make sure that whatever they need, that we are making sure that that equipment is working and they have the things that they need to operate our police department.
Mr. Mapp, you have to come, you respond. Please come to the mic.
I am Adrian Mapp, Director of Finance, and I take exception to the fact, to what is being stated, that we are sitting on things. That's absolutely incorrect. It's false.
I'm not disputing that, but every time there's a question asked, it's always said we send it to Mr. Mapp, we send it to Mr. Mapp. You are Director of Finance. I don't know who's telling the truth and who's not. All I'm saying is, could we at least, when things come from the police department, because it's equipment that they need for the day-to-day operations, that you at least take a active and make sure it's taken care of, if you don't mind.
I can assure you that whenever the police director is in touch with me for whatever the reason, we respond. And so I'm not aware of any holdup that is currently hampering the police department.
So do me a favor, make a phone call tomorrow and see what they're looking for that they think you got that you have not gotten, okay? Is that fair enough?
I'll speak to Mr. Mays.
Is that fair enough, though?
I'll speak to Mr. Mays.
Okay, very good, very good, good. Very good. Thank you so much. I see we have a new foreclosure attorney, part-time, and I don't know if our attorney can answer that. Because I don't know how, Mr. Mays, do you know how, when people are walking away from houses in Orange, or maybe this is a question for Mr. Smith, how do we get notified when a house is, because we're finding out people are just leaving houses. How does the city know when that house becomes abandoned?
I believe that's probably a better question for Mr. Smith or Mr. Matt. I'm not.
Well, let me ask, Councilwoman Easton, do you want to see if Mr. Hacken could answer the question for the need for the, are you concerned about the need for the foreclosure attorney, or are you concerned about the process? Because you mentioned the foreclosure attorney. So is your question more about the process?
Well, maybe he can explain what the duties of the foreclosure attorney is going to be. And then Mr. Smith can explain how we know when when the house is vacant.
Michael Hackett, Assistant City Attorney. The foreclosure attorney, my understanding, is going to be handling, we have properties that have outstanding tax obligations. The foreclosure attorney is going to be filing a complaint for the city for foreclosing those properties. Hopefully, we'll be able to get those properties back on the tax roll. Once we are successful in our foreclosure, the property's going to go for auction. We sell them, get the tax money back, the property's back on the tax roll.
So how they're getting the list from the tax office of houses?
Yes, we get the list from the tax collector.
Smith?
Carl Smith, tax collector.
Do you know, how do you find out when a house has been abandoned or a person has just walked away from the mortgage? When the taxes aren't paid?
Just because a property is abandoned does not mean that they're not paying their taxes. Most of the time, in fact, the taxes are indeed being paid. They're being paid through the mortgage company. I get my information from Wendy Brown. She has a list of abandoned properties and I correspond with her periodically to see which properties are on the abandoned properties list. And right now, we have roughly around 300 properties that's on the abandoned property list, last time I checked.
That the foreclosure attorney is going to handle?
No, that's totally separate. That's totally separate. We have the list that I put together for recommended before foreclosure is about 58 properties with a value around $2.3, $2.4 million in delinquent taxes.
All right, thank you.
Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Smith, while you're there, I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
ahead.
Is that the list that comes before us? Mrs. Mays, was that when we added? No? Okay. Thank you.
So if someone wanted a list of foreclosed properties, would they come to the tax office to get it? If they were looking to buy some of them or they want to renovate?
Yes, they would look to, we keep a list on file for liens for unpaid taxes.
Okay.
That's what I keep, that's why I maintain those records.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Mays, when the public works violations and the money that's collected, do you track that?
You mean what, for
Like when
typical court cases from the inspector, or?
any money that's coming in through public works for violations or whatever, do we track that?
I don't track it per se. I don't know. I have to check and see.
Is there,
You
can
mean the
we?
money that comes in through Mr. Corvino from the court cases, or just that, or?
Well, any money that you, well, I guess it's basically, that's the money that you get coming in is from the violations, right?
Right.
Can we track that, or maybe the council can get we can put that on the list as when we do the reports of how much you collected per month? And where does that money go?
I believe that money goes to the court.
It goes to does it go into the general fund?
I don't believe so. I can check it though. I'm not sure.
Would you mind doing that and then giving, and see if you can track that so we have some idea as how much money Public Works is bringing in as we move forward?
Okay.
And all right, that's all I have.
Councilwoman
Oh, one other question. One other thing I want, then I'm done. I'm sorry, Ms. Gomes. Former Councilman Bill Lewis is always saying that the council has been laughed at and did them. But I just want to clarify one thing. We are no different than any other council around. Look at Newark, look at East Orange. I mean, we're all operating the same, so I don't know whether he gets this notion that we are the laughing stock. In fact, I think this council, sitting council, has done a lot this year to make sure that we put things in place so that the people that come behind us don't have to face the same obstacles and things that this council has to face for the last couple of, I want to say for the last 6 years. Because the 4-year administration was a disaster, and then we're still working out some of those issues. So I don't hear that, so he keeps knocking us down, knocking us down. And the other thing I wanted to say is when they talk about going to the state, I just got a copy of a letter. And when you write the state about the things that's happening in Orange, what is that, the community affairs, the letter always comes back as a response to say, see your city attorney. Mr. Attorney Constable, who heads that organization, and Mr. Attorney Neff, they never act on any of the things that's being complained about. They always kicks it back to our city attorney. So it's not that we haven't tried to make sure that things are done, but if you look at what the state, it hasn't touched anything that we've sent down. And the letter comes back and says, see the city attorney. So I'm expecting, I guess they're hoping that our city attorney will take an active role to make sure some things does not happen and that legally we are on board, and the questions that the council have and the reports that we're requesting and the things that we're not getting, we need to have our city attorney to sort of step from the side of the administration sometimes to help the council out. Because for the lack of anything else, and when the state tells you see your city attorney, that means the city attorney is an important part and should not be biased, should work for the administration as well as the council. Because some of these lawsuits that's coming out should have been stopped before they hit anybody. I mean, the city attorney should have said, no, this is not going to happen for the city of Orange. So I don't know why he keeps saying that, but, and I thought I had the letter here, and I was going to read what it really said about see your city attorney for the government questions you have about your government in the city of Orange. And I just want to commend this council because I think we've done a hell of a job this year and last year trying to make sure that the budget, the expenses are cut, and we're trying to save money, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on when we get to that part. Thank you, Councilwoman Williams.
Council President.
You want to talk again, Councilman Neeson, later? You want to talk again later?
No, I'm going to explain the
Meet next council meeting?
No, about the ordinance that we have on for changing the election. When that comes up, I'll talk about that. Or you want
It's
me
a
to-
public hearing? Okay.
No, I was just going to mention. Well, let me just finish that, then we don't have to talk about it later. There was we are planning to move the elections till November from May. And the reason behind that, the same people that get up here and they question everything we do, if the residents remember, they're the same people that's been beating us over the head about cutting their taxes, property taxes. So when the things we don't fit into the mold that they think it should, then they have a problem with it. But if you've been talking about cutting your taxes and we take initiative to save some money and talk about it being self-serving, how self-serving are you when you don't worry about anybody else but yourself? So that was why we thought West Orange has changed their election to November, and every dollar that we can have the county spend that we don't have to spend saves us money. And moving the election to November will save us about $41,000 and $54,000 when it comes to the mayor. And not only that, when we did change from a fiscal year to annual, that all should have been done there. So at some point, we got to bite the bullet and do that. Because I don't see the rationale behind us starting a budget in January, then have a whole new group of people take it over in May, when they don't even know how the budget started, what's it about. So it makes sense that the people that's sitting on January 1st will get the budget, and they have a whole year to work on it. And that was the rationale behind that. So if you're saying that this is not self-serving, this is what we need to do for the people of Orange. And the other thing is, all of us take a risk. None of us knows if we're going to get elected in May. None of us knows if we're going to get elected in November, unless you have a crystal ball. So we got to do what's right for the people of Orange, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
You give me 15 seconds?
Councilman
Council
Durant.
President, thank you for your indulgence. And I don't want to bore anybody any further, but 15 seconds. One, it's unprecedented in the library's history, which is precedent now, for the acting business administrator at that time to also be the acting board president. Second of all, it was unprecedented at that time, which is precedent now, for the chief of staff to also be the acting library board president. Under those roles, the library was closed. Secondly, I don't know if it's quite appropriate for the mayor to appoint an acting board president who is not a resident of the city of Orange. To that vein, I would like to ask our legislative research officer to research that, and if it's lawful and appropriate, so be it. If not, then I think we need to do that. In my mind, on my level of understanding, which is lower than everybody's in this room, I don't know how the mayor can appoint an acting board president who doesn't live in the city of Orange, but then again, maybe it's appropriate so. And with that, I conclude.
Councilman Abdul Rashid, there is an opinion that we can get you that came out already regarding that. Kevin, did you have that opinion? I think it came from the state. Did you see it when it came out?
No, I'll just wait to hear from Mr. Harris
Okay.
on my request. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gordon Butler?
Yes, Council President, just a couple of things that I wanted to announce. The first thing I wanted to mention is that there is a workforce readiness workshop. It's going to be held on February 10th, and I believe it will be held, I guess, consecutive Monday nights from 5:30 to 7 at St. Matthew AME Church. And I think it's important to announce that, especially for people that might be trying to get back in the workforce or trying to upgrade their workforce readiness skills. I had spoken with Director Sims, and I also want to make sure that I mention this to Director Mays. Some of the residents on Lincoln Avenue, close to Tremont Avenue, have been having difficulty parking on the street. Apparently, the signage on each side of the street says that you cannot park there if the road is snow covered. So then my question becomes, where do they park? And officers had been ticketing there. And so we actually, Director Sims and I did brainstorm some possibilities for us to look at, and so I need to make sure that Director Mays is in the loop with regards to that. The other thing that I just wanted to compliment the clerk's office on, I've been looking at the OPA requests, the summary of OPA requests that have been completed and closed, and I want to say job well done. You could tell that they're working hard there to expedite matters. That's it. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. I asked for clarification and announcement. The mayor is doing his State of the City tomorrow. When we originally got the announcement, there was two sessions, a 10 a.m. and a 7 p.m. Director Mays?
There is.
There are two sessions, and they're both going to be at the library? So the State of the City is tomorrow, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and both at the library tomorrow.
Councilwoman Williams.
Councilwoman Eason?
Through you to Mr. Smith, they did a flyer door-to-door today.
Yes.
It only says 10 o'clock. So the residents only got 10 o'clock in the morning. So are you sure it hasn't been changed? Because this is their door-to-door flyer. And I got one at my house.
I believe it's at 10 and 7.
So why wouldn't that have been on the flyer?
So, Director Mays, if you can have immediately the administration to upload a big statement on the website tomorrow with the clarification, because that did come, I brought it in today. I noticed that it just said 10 a.m. and it didn't include the 7 p.m. So we can just, and by way of email to all the council members as well with clarification. Mr. Garrett, could you come up for a second? I know you had stepped out. Did you hear Mr. Moore? He's sitting behind you. Did you hear him ask the question about the Essex County having a FCC board?
I didn't hear Ken Garrett, liaison from the County of Essex to the City of Orange. No, I didn't hear any reference to Essex County, but I did hear his statements about FiOS and Comcast and so forth. Go ahead.
Do you know if there's a board that sits for Essex County that represents various municipalities or all of the municipalities in Essex County? And if not, can you give an answer back to us?
That represents with respect to communications,
Right.
FCC?
FCC, right.
I don't know, but
questions.
I don't know, but I'll check.
Okay. Can you send us an email tomorrow?
I
Or
can.
as soon as you get the information?
I will.
Okay. And then we'll follow up based on with Mr. Mays, and Councilwoman Eason is actually going to spearhead a conversation in terms of completing FiOS in the city of Orange, and maybe other municipalities are interested. So if you can stay in the loop with Councilwoman Eason with that as well.
I can.
Yeah, she's the lead person on it.
I will.
Okay. I think that's it. I don't think that was
Council President,
Yes, sir.
The last email I received, which was at 8:31, indicates that the mayor's state of the city is going to be at 10 and at 7. That's the latest one that I have, at 8:30 tonight. Tonight.
Okay. All right. Can you tell me to do one tomorrow at 9 a.m.? That's the ways to do that. Just so, you know, because this big walking throughout the whole city went out today, and somebody brought it to my attention, and it only said 10 a.m., so it immediately raised a question because I had. Also, I do want to make an announcement. Throughout the city of Orange, and throughout all over, they're doing, United Way has a big celebrity read, if you will, where we go into the schools, and each school has people come in and volunteer to read to the students, just so we can encourage reading and get young people to read. If anyone was interested in being a part of the celebrity read in the School of Orange's school district, can you contact the clerk's office and just give your name to Miss Larissa Bradshaw, and then we can see where you can fit in throughout the city of Orange, because the schools are looking for people to come in, and especially if you like to read on certain topics, or if you want to, if you have knowledge on one area that may not normally be taught in school. Communications, you can read the story of communications, you can come in and just, get young people interested. So it just won't, because people who come in and read are often given books or tend to bring books that they're interested in. So if you're interested, please contact the clerk's office. And again, leave your name with Larissa Bradshaw, and we'll make sure that you're assigned to a school. Okay? Thank you. Motion to close comments?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, I'm going to ask if you could just indulge me. Let's take like a 5-minute break, and yes, Councilman Corbett, you can keep a count. Okay? Is there a motion to adjourn for 5 minutes?
Move.
Moved by Councilwoman Easton, second by Councilman Corbett. All in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, I need you.
Section number 9, ordinances on second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 53, 2013, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 200-40, Schedule 9, stop intersections, three-way stop, Lincoln Avenue and Frankfurt Street, sponsored by the Honorable Hussein Abdul Rashid.
Moved by Councilman Abdul Rashid. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilwoman Gordon Butler.
You gotta have the public hearing, though.
I'm sorry. Second read by title. Motion, anybody from the I apologize. Can you, rescind your motion? Councilman?
I made a motion for us to go with the public portion.
Yeah.
We don't have to do a motion to do that.
No, you just let them come.
Can you rescind your motion, Councilman Abdul Rashid?
I rescind.
Councilman Gordon Butler? Thank you. Is there anybody from the public that would like to be heard on this? And this is 53-2013, an ordinance to amend the Code of City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, titled Vehicles and Traffic.
Motion to
Seeing none,
close.
motion
Motion to close.
Motion by Councilwoman Easton, second by Council.
Second.
First or second?
Second.
It was first by Councilwoman Easton, second by Councilman Corbett. On the motion? Seeing none? Motion for final adoption?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman, that was you, Councilman Corbett?
No, ma'am, it was Councilman
Councilman
Hassan
Abdul
Abdul
Rashid,
Rashid.
second by Councilwoman Easton. On the motion? Seeing none, roll call?
Councilman Abdul Rashid.
In favor.
Councilman Corbett.
Yes.
Councilman Easton.
Yes.
Councilman Gordon Butler.
In favor.
And Council President Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries. 5 yeas, 2 absent. Our next ordinance is 54-2013, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, to amend thorough streets.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to be heard on this?
Motion to close.
Motion by
Second.
Councilman Corbett, second by Councilman Abdul Rashid. Motion for final adoption. I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for final adoption.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Gordon Butler. On the motion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid.
In favor.
Councilmember Corbett.
Yes.
Councilmember Easton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon Butler. Sorry. Councilmember Jones Bell is absent. Councilmember Marable is absent. Council President Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-2, 5 yeas, 2 absent. Ordinance number 55, 2013, an ordinance amending Chapter 15B of the Municipal Code of the City of Orange Township entitled the Environmental Commission.
I can read it by title. Is there anybody from the public that would like to be heard?
Didn't we just do that one?
I'm sorry, no, this is second, this is
Second
public
reading.
hearing, yeah.
All right.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes, I wanted to know what the purpose of this is. What's really, why do we need, what is this? for? I mean, I read the thing downstairs on the bulletin board, and it didn't clarify for me.
The Environmental Commission? Our, Mr. Harris? Wanna respond?
Good evening, Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer. The Environmental Commission, exists presently under the code of the City of Orange Township to study various issues related to contamination, water projects, and things of that nature in cooperation with local, state, and federal, other federal agencies.
Okay, and what is, it says this is amending it, what is this doing?
There are certain amendments that are being made. I don't have the ordinance in front of me if I can see it.
Also, there's no local commission.
Yeah, there's no local commission.
Why would we need that? Isn't this the job of the city planner? I mean, since he heads up the green and designation and all of that, that's really what our planner's doing.
Most municipalities have citizen input, and this gives you the input of citizens to have a commission for, the citizen body input.
Well, the ordinance has been amended essentially in the efforts that each member of each best efforts shall be utilized. This language was not in the previous existing code. That best efforts shall be utilized to have at least each ward of the city represented by at least one member on the commission. And it also says that best efforts shall be utilized to have a member who is a professional environmental scientist, geologist, toxicologist, botanist, or other environmental specialist. It also expands the powers and duties in the sense that it allows the keeping of a natural resource index from open areas and privately owned lands, swamps, other wetlands. It goes on further that it makes recommendations concerning open space preservation, water resource management, things that were not in there previously. So essentially what happened was we just made it more consistent with existing state and federal law. Made our existing code more consistent with the existing state and federal law.
Okay, it sounds like a duplication of what, like the master planning board. It just seems like a duplication to me. I'm just not understanding why we need something like this. And anyway,
Wait 1 second, Ms. Wilson, so you heard what you said. Is there a motion to extend?
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett. Second. Second by Councilman Weeson. Roll call.
Councilman Abdul Rashid?
In favor?
Councilman Corbett?
Oh, this pains me, but yes.
Councilman Reeson?
Yes.
Councilmember Vaughn Butler?
I'm outnumbered, yes.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent, and so is Councilmember Marable. Council President Williams?
Yes.
Okay. Vote carries, 5 yeas, 2 absent.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wilson, I didn't hear the last part, what you just, after you said it seems to duplicate the planning and the master planner.
yes, because we have already had committees like that. It just seems like it's some more bureaucracy, and when you start talking about its powers for governing open space and green space and so forth, then I am concerned, well, who has the final authority? Is it the planning board? Because that's what, they do a lot of that. That's what planning board's supposed to do. Planning board and zoning board do that. So I do have some concerns about this.
Councilman Williams?
On the motion, Councilwoman Eason.
Yeah,
Can you-
on,
no, I'm saying, let me get to on the motion, then you can, because it's still the public portion. Anybody else from the public?
Motion to close.
Public. Motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Eason. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, Councilwoman Eason. A motion for final adoption?
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilman Abdul Rashid. On the motion, Councilwoman Eason.
Yeah, on the second page, Attorney, there's where it says membership, regular membership terms. It should say be a member of the planning board. Board is missing. Wait a minute, never mind. It's there, it's just further down for some reason. Is there any way we can move that up? It's there. It's just that it's so far from the planning. Never mind.
Okay.
It's there.
Anything else, Councilwoman Eason?
No.
Any other?
Council President,
Councilman Abdul Rashid?
on the third page, number 8, under 15B-4, it says conduct research to the use and possibility use of open land areas C says advertise, prepare, print, distribute maps, charts, etc. And F says do such acts and things as reasonable related to and designed to carry out the purposes and objectives, etc., including without limitation the payment of such clerks and other employees as the commission may require within the limits of the funds appropriated to the commission. What funds are appropriated to the commission?
I don't believe there has been any appropriate at this time.
Well, then why is F in there?
Would you want to go, Ms. Harris? I'm sorry. I think it would have to be created before you can appropriate it.
Well, if that's the case, then here's where it starts to get a little funky for me, but go ahead, Mr. Harris.
As I said, Councilman, that's already existing language. That's presently in the code.
Right, so...
I added the clause subject to the budgeting and availability of funds as determined by the city council. If city council opts not to fund it,
Right.
that's your choice.
Now, I understand you're perfectly right. Basically, your amendments and changes, whatever you deleted and with additions, so since you didn't say anything for F, then like you said, you didn't change that.
Right.
I understand, and I'm not saying anything to you. You know, it just seems like this, this commission is, I don't know, it's, we need some scientists and geologists and appropriations of funds, and they're gonna be doing maps and advertising and, planning board, the zoning board, then the commission board, it just gets a little, what's the word I'm looking for?
Muddy.
Well, I had said funky, but I want to sound sophisticated. It gets a little complicated.
Convoluted.
And with that, I conclude. Thank you.
Convoluted, Council.
Oh, okay, well, I'm not an attorney, so.
Motion, roll call?
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
I'm not in favor.
Councilmember Corbett?
Yes.
Councilmember Eason?
Yes.
Councilmember Grant Butler?
In favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent, and Councilmember Marable is absent. Council President Williams?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. 4 yeas, 1 nay, 2 absent.
Council President, so I'm just saying, and it's passed, so it's a go, but so as the need arises, they'll let the council know if they need certain amount of monies to be appropriate
It will come
as we go?
up, I'm sure it'll come up during the budget.
Not necessarily, but okay, all right. Okay, I conclude.
56-2013.
An ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the Municipal Code of the City of Orange Township entitled Budget and Fiscal Procedures, sponsored by Councilmember Hassan Abdul Rashid.
Motion, anybody from the public? Mr. Feld?
Good evening, Jeffrey Feld, 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. There's like a series of questions and comments I have. The first one is regarding Section 4-68. The question we really should be asking, why is an ordinance being adopted here? Or why wasn't this done ministerial by the clerk's office in 2011 when you converted from the transition, when you passed an ordinance converting back from the fiscal year to the calendar year? Why didn't our original clerk, or I guess acting clerk we have for a period of time, and 2 deputy clerks not pick up this change, and this ministerial change wasn't picked up for almost 3 years? That's one question. Next question is as to 469 fiscal procedures. The F, shouldn't that really be a B in budget procedures? Because when you look at current Section 469, when you look at the fiscal procedures, A goes to claim approval for payments, B is claims, payment and signature, C is central payroll, D is financial reporting, and E is post-audit. Why is budget in the fiscal procedures part? That's the other issue. So if you move F as a B, we have to read what we're doing here. And we have to be careful of the word hearings, and I hope the person who's drafted this is listening carefully. because when we talk about the budget process, a lot of times people get confused with the word approval and adoption. The budget is introduced at a city council meeting where it is approved. There will be a public hearing no earlier than 28 days after that. That's where the citizens get to give comments. In that interim period, that 28 days, that's when the city council has what we'll call their budgetary hearings. I think you need to put a word before the hearings, because I think you're trying to say is that once the budget is introduced, and it's not at a hearing, it's like we introduced at a city council meeting. After it's introduced, the city council will conduct and conclude no later than 45 days after introduction their budgetary hearings. Because under the statute, the public hearing that the citizens have cannot occur until 28 days, no earlier than 28 days after the introduction. Because the way you have it drafted, it is, one, it's confusing as to why there's F, the time of budget hearing is, why is it in the fiscal procedures? Because it isn't a fiscal procedure issue. It's a budgetary hearing issue, so maybe it should be under 468 as a B, but you have to be careful as to the word hearings. Because look at the underlying language. I'm saying you have to understand the process. Because really, I don't even know why you need to add it, because you're saying we're going to comply with state law. Once it's introduced, or you're just clarifying, putting a restriction on this council, that once it's introduced, the council will complete no later than 45 days after introduction their budgetary hearings. And that budgetary hearing is different than the public hearing that the citizens had to have by statute that cannot occur no earlier than 28 days after the introduction. And I'd just like to hear the draftsman's comments as to a response to that. I'm getting looks at me.
Well, Mr. Harris, do you have it before you to respond? Are you looking? I think it's a full thing in front.
I mean, I have a copy, and I appreciate the clerk, so they did have a black line copy that showed the changes, you know, from what you're doing, and that's why it's very easy to pick up. I mean, the first one is, the first change should not even been before this council. It should have been picked up by the clerk's office every year as it's codified. And it's not the comment on this deputy clerk, it's the 3 or 4 that were prior to her, predecessors, should have picked up that change.
Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer. First of all, Section F was amended simply in part because the number one, both Section 468 and 469F were never amended to go to the calendar year. That was the first and foremost.
Excuse me, can I say, if you look at the code, there's no F now. You're not amending, you're adding something.
Mr. Feld, can you please let him finish?
The problem is...
Mr. Feld, can you let him finish?
I'll let him finish.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Harris.
There is a Section F, simply because if you look at...
Can we go into...
If you look at the way I drafted the ordinance, additions are underlined and additions are underlined and strikeouts are strike-throughs. Therefore, this section already existed as to this language that's already there.
Would you put your license on the line to say that?
I'm not putting anything on the line.
Well, that's the question is, because if you go under the code today, if you have your laptops...
I'll pull the code up right there.
There's no F there. Why do you think I read here before where you went A through E? I mean, what did you just say? What did you... I mean, this is half the problem, because sometimes you all heard probably, I don't know if you heard what he called me.
I think he said that he's lazy.
No, he said another word. It might sound like lazy, but it begins with a C and an R.
Mr. Feld, are you finished?
No, I'm not. I just heard now, on the record, the legislative research officer just say that he said, based on what he saw here, that F exists as a matter of law in our administrative code.
And that was his response. Do you have anything else to say, Mr. Feld?
But I disagree, and I know how to read, I went to college, and I go to, this is a problem we have. You go to the public website, and the public website has what the code is supposed to be, and only has A through E. You try to add an F, and I don't know why F was amended 2 times to put these changes in. Right now, there's no F there. And you're putting F in, it goes to a budget, it doesn't have anything to do with fiscal procedures. This is where we get problems, and that's why we get the questions about the letters from the Mr. Neff and Mr. Constable saying, what does the city attorney say about this?
Anybody else from the public?
Motion to close.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilman Butler. Motion for final adoption.
Council President.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Okay,
You want to get to the on the motion?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilman Abdul-Rashid. On the motion, Councilman Abdul-Rashid?
Council President,
Yes, sir.
for us who aren't lawyers, this is simplistically to try to expedite the budget hearings. That's number one. Number two, if at some point in time, the council, not people outside of Orange, the council determines that we need to have an extra hearing, we need to do this, we need to do that, there's flexibility in this. As some of us may or may not recall, the budget was passed on August the 7th, 2013, even though the calendar year started on January 1st, 2013. I think most people would agree with me with that. That's number two. This is just to have the budget process, hearings, whatever lawyers want to call it, moved up so that we can try to get that process over with so we can hopefully vote on the budget that's hopefully presented to us, that we can go back and forth, delete, add, collaborate with the administration, and minimally pass it before August of this year. So if at some point in time we need to be flexible by adding a hearing, adding another date, making sure of course we're going to do our due diligence with respect to the state. That's elementary. You don't even have to keep talking about the state. We're going to do that. We have the flexibility. It's not saying that, you know, if you say that the budget process has to be done by March 31st, then, it can't go on. We have to have common sense and flexibility. So in its most simplistic terms, my intent was to move the whole budget process under that umbrella called the budget process, to actually move it forward. Hopefully, this will assist us. Now, if the legislative research officer who works for the city council, who works for the citizens of Orange, find out that there's something that needs to be amended because he's a human being and he's not perfect like some people, then so be it. I would hope that the council would vote on the affirmative, and if something boomerangs back with us, then we'll deal with it appropriately, legally, and with morale. Other than that, I really have no other comments. However, if the city council wants to vote it down because of what somebody who doesn't live in Orange say, then so be it.
Any other members from the council? Councilwoman Eason?
Through you to Attorney Harris, since we're not in a fiscal year anymore, should that be removed?
He did remove it, Councilwoman Eason.
He changed.
Is he crossed it out and put calendar? That's the strike
And you
through.
you did 469 too, made it calendar year procedures?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see a strike through.
Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer.
Can you go
Look
to-
at the third line.
Sorry, Kevin, you gotta go to the mic. Sorry.
Councilwoman.
Oh, I just want to make sure the headings were correct, that's
It
all.
does refer to the calendar year.
Oh, I see.
Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer, it does refer to changing it from fiscal to calendar.
Council President,
Councilman Corbett.
my only concern with this is, as it was argued, the letter F, does that letter F really have to be there? Can it be taken out? I mean, because there's no preceding A, B, C, D, E, so.
We don't have the, we don't have the whole document before us, so I would say
Okay.
that we vote
Got
on
you.
it, and if
I
it needs to
will,
be amended.
I will research that and have a better report for you, but
Full documents.
Okay.
So we can vote on it and amend it if necessary. Roll call?
I hope we can vote in affirmative if it has the letter F or not have the letter F, because we understand the concept and why we're doing this. Having said that, I'm ready to vote
Roll call?
Councilman Abdul Rashid,
in favor.
Councilmember Corbett,
Yes.
Councilmember Eason,
Yes.
Councilmember Gone Butler,
In favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent, Councilmember Maribel is absent, Council President Williams.
Yes.
Thank you, Council
Motion
Collins.
carries 5 yeas, 2 absent.
And Mr. Harris, if there's something that you find that you need to bring to our attention, email my colleagues and we'll move forward in an appropriate manner. I mean, we're all human.
Ordinance is tabled from August 7, 22-2013, the ordinance setting forth an employee tuition reimbursement policy and guidelines of the City of Orange Township and amending and supplementing Chapter 23 of the Municipal Code of the appendix titled City of Orange Township. Make a motion to remove this from the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Gaunt Butler. Voting on removing it from the table, Councilman Abdon Abdul Rashid. To remove from the table. 22
We're voting now. No, I know where we're at.
Okay.
Slow down a little bit. I'm a little slow. So we're voting to lift.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Proceed. That's what I figured.
And your vote is?
My vote is not in favor.
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gaunt Butler?
In favor.
I am in favor as well.
Motion passes 4 yeas, 1 nay, 2 absent.
A point of order, I'm going to ask if we just, can we just withdraw this and start over, or do we have to just vote it down?
Motion.
Eason?
You can do it either way.
Because it was on a second reading, right, or first reading?
Second reading.
This was on the second reading? Attorney Hackett, which would be better? Can we just withdraw it because we have to do a lot of changes to it, or can we just vote it down? What would your suggestion be?
Already voted and it's passed.
Yeah, to speak.
First, so we will be on we will be on a public hearing, and it's been tabled since August 7th.
Vote it down.
Voting down.
You can vote it down and then resubmit it.
So this is the,
What was the objection to the?
it was several, a lot of changes need to be made, so
And then
is
vote
there?
it down
Okay.
and redraft it.
Hello.
So do we still need to have the public hearing or just vote? Because it will be actually the public hearing. Procedurally, I'm asking.
Yeah, but it's still up for second reading.
It says-
And
yes.
so you got to keep it
It's a public hearing.
consistent.
Yeah.
So is there any, on this ordinance, is there anybody from the public that would like to be heard? Ms. Stewart?
Gloria Stewart, a resident of Orange. First of all, when I look at the date, August 7th, we're now January.
Yeah.
So that alone tells me that something is not right,
Yes.
that some corrections need to be made.
Yes.
So, and I've already spoken on this reimbursement because we've had problems with,
Yes.
people getting trained and moving on. But I would say, if you got to go back to the drawing board, but,
Yes, ma'am.
that's
Thank you.
food for thought.
Anybody else from the public?
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Butler on the motion. Just for the clarity for the public, it was tabled, and there was too many changes for us to just do and keep it moving, so we're going to hopefully vote it down, and then we'll bring it back in the correct format. Roll call?
Councilman Abdul Rashid,
Not in favor.
Councilman Corbett,
No.
Councilmember Eason,
Yes.
Councilmember Gaunt Butler,
Not in favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent, and Councilmember Marable is absent. Council President Williams,
No.
motion fails. 1 yea, 4 nays, and 2 absent.
regarding the bond ordinance 30-2013. Is there a motion to lift it off the table? Seeing none. Moving to 37-2013. An ordinance setting outside employment guidelines for the City of Orange Township and amending and supplementing Chapter 23 of the Municipal Code and the appendix titled City of Orange Township Employee Handbook Personnel Policy. Is there a motion to lift from the table?
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Eason. Roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
Not in favor.
Councilmember Corbett?
Yes.
Councilmember Easton?
Yes.
Councilmember God Butler?
Not in favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent, and Councilman Marable is absent. Council President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 3 yeas, 2 nays, 2 absent.
We were also at the public hearing of this one. Is there anybody from the public on outside employment that would like to be? I'm sorry?
We just lifted it from the table, right?
So we'll be at the
So we can vote on it there? Okay.
Does anybody from the public like to be heard on an ordinance setting outside employment guidelines? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
I'm sorry.
Close the public
Motion to close. Moved by Councilman Abdul Rashid, second by Councilman Corbett. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for final adoption.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Eason on the motion. Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Hassan Abdul Rashid.
Not in favor.
Councilman Corbett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason.
Yes.
Councilwoman Galt Butler.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Jones Bell is absent. Councilman Marable is absent. Councilwoman Williams, yes.
Motion passes. 3 yeas, 1 nay, 1 abstention, 2 absent.
Is there, or 58-2013, is there a motion to lift from the table?
Move.
Moved by Councilwoman Galt Butler, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Eason. Roll call. Councilman Abdul Rashid.
Not in favor.
Councilman Corbett.
No.
Councilwoman Eason.
Yes.
Councilwoman Galt Butler.
In favor.
Councilman Marable's absent. Jones Bell is absent. Councilwoman Eason. I'm Donna. Not in favor.
Motion does not pass.
Matter is still tabled.
You have 3 nays.
Yeah, it's still, the matter is still tabled.
Right.
Moving to ordinances on first reading. 1-2014, an ordinance establishing the November general election day as the date for the City of Orange Township's nonpartisan municipal election. Motion to adopt on first reading.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, Councilman Abdul Rashid, second by Councilwoman Eason. Roll call.
Councilman Abdul Rashid?
You gotta say on the motion.
Oh,
I'm sorry, on the motion. Seeing none, roll call.
Abdul Rashid?
In favor.
Councilman Corbett?
Yes.
Councilman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Galt Butler?
In favor.
Councilman Jones Bell is absent. Councilman Marable is absent. Council President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Motion carries. 5 yeas, 2 absent.
And the public hearing is February 4th, 2014. February
18th.
I'm sorry, February 18th, 2018. February 2014. 2014, February 18th, 2014. February 18th? This was the entire February 18th, 2014.
Up to the consent agenda, all items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda.
Council members, Councilmember Hassan Abdul-Rashid,
32-2014,
32.
29-2014.
You said 29?
Yes, ma'am. 29-2014. And it was the other one. I can't find it right now. I yield. I'm sorry. 31-2014. With that, I conclude.
Okay. Council members, any other?
30-2014.
30-2014. So for clarification, we are removing 29-2014, 30-2014, 31-2014, and 32-2014. Consent agenda. Ready? Yes. That's will be 19 through 28.
What is left on the consent agenda is 19, 20...
Wait, council members, are you ready?
Yeah.
No, I was looking at your, okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
I was talking about something else.
I'm sorry.
Okay, what's left on the consent agenda is 19-2014, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26.
Wait, I'm sorry, you said 22? Did you say 22?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. That would be it.
Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Eason,
Yes. Second.
second by Councilman Corbett. All in favor?
Roll call.
No, you don't need, it's a consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's a consent agenda. Any opposed? Going to 29-2014, a resolution awarding a contract to Smith Boring. Oh, just a second. Council members, just for clarification, it was a resolution to add Councilwoman Gordon Butler to the Personnel Committee. That's FYI, that'll be on the next council meeting, but she'll be acting in capacity until voted. 29-2014, a resolution awarding a contract to Smith Boring Auto Parts, Inc., 10 Elm Street, Montclair, New Jersey, 07042 for the purchase of automobile parts for 1 year commencing January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2014, in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Eason. On the motion,
Council President,
Councilman Abdul-Rashid.
through you to Mr. Mays. Mr. Mays, is there anything you want to speak to this? I know we probably discussed it. I know it got voted down at the last 1 or 2 city council meetings ago. I mean, I don't want to waste time, but is there anything you want to add? Basically, these are the parts, obviously, for Public Works, basically the city vehicles in general, or is it a specific department in general?
This is for all the vehicles citywide.
With that, I conclude.
Is there anybody else in the council need to be heard? Roll call, Councilman Abdul-Rashid.
In favor.
Councilman Corbett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gordon Butler.
No.
Councilwoman Williams is yes. We have 2 absent.
Motion passes, 4 yeas, 1 nay, 2 absent.
Moving to 30-2014, a resolution awarding a contract to Select Auto Service, Inc., 52 Washington Street, West Orange, New Jersey, 07052 for vehicle maintenance and repairs to all city-owned vehicles and equipment for 1 year commencing January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2014, in the amount not to exceed $97,570.
Move.
Second. Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Easton on the motion.
Council President, through you to Mr. Mays. Mr. Mays, in the interest of time, just a short version. You know, there was some issues with respect to the list. You know, I was emailed on that a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, but even though you compiled the list, who would you say is ultimately you're responsible and in charge of the city vehicles? Because there's a retired sergeant that he mostly used to deal with accidents. You probably know the guy I'm talking about.
Polito.
Yeah, you know, yeah. And no disrespect to him, like I heard that he was like in charge of the police vehicles for like ever and a day. So even though he's in charge of the police vehicles, does he report to you? Does he keep you abreast with the data? I mean, or is it, you know, he deals with that? Because then that means we would have to ask him about police vehicles.
Absolutely. The way it is set up now is that he is in total control of the police vehicles. That's exactly how it's set up now.
So what I'm saying, I'm right? So
You're right in terms of that, but in terms of the monies to pay for these services comes out of Public Works. So this resolution is not specific to one department, it's citywide. That's why, you know, we gotta have it based on that. But you're right about specifically him with the police cars.
And that's how the administration wants him to still handle that, even though I thought that would be under you?
Well, we're working on making that change now.
Okay,
and
with
that's
that-
one of the things that's gonna be in the budget, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying because he's part-time though.
Well, it's not necessarily, it's just, in what you're gonna see is a centralization of that all under one. But obviously, I'm still gonna have to take cues from somebody from the police department because they know that he's there on a daily basis. Well, maybe I shouldn't paint it that way. It'll be more working together, all three of us, instead of the way it's separately.
All three being you, him, and who's the third person?
Fire.
Oh, okay. With that, I conclude.
Thank you. Any other council members? Roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid.
In favor.
Councilmember Corbett.
Yes.
Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Grant Butler.
No.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent, and Councilmember Marable is absent. Council President Williams?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries, 4 yeas, 1 nay, 2 absent.
Moving to 31-2014, a resolution authorizing a contract with McInerney Brady and Company LLC to serve as municipal auditors to perform the calendar year 2014 audit along with ancillary accounting services to complete the city's annual financial statement in an amount not to exceed $83,500. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Easton on the motion. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
In favor.
Councilmember Corbett?
Yes.
Councilmember Eason?
Yes.
Councilmember Grant Butler?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent, and Councilmember Marable is absent. Council President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Moving to 32-2014, a resolution approving the bill list for council meeting vote on January 28, 2014. I want to see something. Dated January 17, 2014, improving checks issued by the Finance Department in accordance with Ordinance 2-95, grand total $4,067,547.10. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Councilman
Second.
Corbett, second by Councilwoman Eason. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
Not in favor.
Councilmember Corbett?
Yes.
Councilmember Eason?
Yes.
Councilmember Grant Butler?
In favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell is absent. Councilmember Marable is absent. Council President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 4 yeas, 1 nay, 2 absent.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Moved by Council, second by Councilman Butler.
Oh, we have it early.
Any opposed?